And if you want to continue listening to the Newcastle against Paris Saint-Germain game, that is over on 5 Live. But here on Sports Extra 2, I'm Conor McNamara, joined by Leon Osman. Chelsea this evening are in southern Italy. Napoli against Chelsea, the reigning Serie A champions, in their magnificent Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. And Chelsea are one of the teams tonight who will be hoping to win to get a safe passage through to the last 16 of the Champions League and to avoid the playoffs. It is a very busy evening around Europe. 18 Champions League games all kicking off at the same time at 8 o'clock. It's the final night of the league phase, this new format which came in a year and a half ago. There were two aims: one, more matches, more money for the big clubs, but the other aim, Leon, was to create high jeopardy evenings like this one. This is what we didn't really get much of in the old group stage of the Champions League, but this is a night where we're going to be saying, as things stand, an awful lot, because things will fluctuate and change.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're still getting to know this new format, as we just discussed. Second season in, last season was quite exciting. It was something that we learned from, where teams qualified, how seriously they took the first stages of this competition, how important it was to get one of those 8 automatic spots, albeit the eventual winners didn't come from there. But now we do get to the point where the top teams do see the benefit. They see the opportunity to have miss a round, to have a couple of opportunities to have a week or two off. So you can see they really want this. You can see the points that are between them all at the moment. Only 1 point separating several teams. 6th all the way down to, is it 6th all the way down to 13th or something like that? It's an incredibly tight table. And we'll look forward to seeing how this game goes. And as you mentioned, Conor, I'm sure you will continue to say how that's going to change throughout the evening.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of twists and turns over the next couple of hours. We'll bring all the action, all the movements, all the scores from elsewhere as they happen. Liam Rosenior, who has had 4 wins from his first 5 games in charge of Chelsea, tonight hoping to become the first England head coach ever to win his first 2 games in a row in the Champions League. Chelsea, who beat the Cypriot side Paphos at Stamford Bridge last week, they made quite hard work of that. The winning goal from Moise Caicedo didn't come until the 78th minute, and now Chelsea go away to take on Napoli, who may be champions, reigning champions in Italy, but they're going through a tough spell at the moment. They've had a bad month the last 4 weeks or so, something of an injury crisis contributing to that. 8 senior players currently missing, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, David Neres, Matteo Politano. Romelu Lukaku is back on the bench tonight. He made his first appearance of the season, your old teammate Leon, of the weekend against Juventus, and he certainly could be a handy one to bring on late on.
Yes, definitely a player that they've certainly missed this season. Outstanding last season. They would have hoped he could continue that form into this season. Unfortunately picked up that injury in pre-season, and they've really missed him. They've really missed a number of players. That's been a huge thing that's happened to this Napoli team this year, the amount of injuries that they've had. That's why I feel this is an opportunity for Chelsea, despite them getting 1 or 2 back, Romelu Lukaku in particular. But I'm sure Chelsea will be looking at the starting lineups, looking at what they've got out, and hoping that they can get this job done and get a few goals ahead early in the game.
Napoli were beaten 3-0 at Juventus on Sunday in Serie A. Antonio Conte, the former Chelsea boss, names an unchanged team tonight. He doesn't have much choice in terms of the players available to him. So Alex Mere, the Italian goalkeeper who came in for his first start since September at the weekend, holds his place in goal. It's a back 3 tonight: Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Alessandro Buongiorno, and the Brazilian Juan Jesus are the 3 central defenders. Leonardo Spinazzola will stay on the right-hand side. He's naturally a left-sided defender, but he'll operate as needs must on the right-hand side tonight. Matheus Oliveira, the Uruguayan, will be on the left-hand side. In the middle of the midfield, Stanislav Lobotka alongside Scotland's Scott McTominay, then Antonio Vergara and Elif Elmas pushing forward in support of Rasmus Højlund, the Danish striker on loan from Manchester United. The Chelsea team tonight, well, it shows 2 changes from the side that started and won at Crystal Palace on Sunday. Both changes are the 2 central defenders, Chalobah and Badiashile out. Reece James and Wesley Fofana come in, and we're looking forward to see how this game develops in the early stages, Leo, because it could be James and Fofana centre halves for Chelsea, Reece James, who's played many times centre-half in terms of a back three, but this would be unusual. First time that they would start together in that position if it does indeed happen.
Yeah, absolutely. One to keep an eye on, especially the decision that's been made when you've got Chalobah and Badiashile on the bench, two centre-halves that you'd expect to have played, rather than have Reece James come in from that right-back position and join Wesley Fofana centrally. It may give them flexibility, it may give them an opportunity to become a comfortable back three. Maybe James and Gusto swap it at different times, maybe one of them steps into midfield from different positions, rather than what we've got used to so much, Gusto is whoever's right back stepping in from that position. It may give them a bit of fluidity, but it'll certainly be one to watch defensively and how they cope with what Napoli have got to offer.
Robert Sanchez starts in goal for Chelsea. Philip Jorgensen did start against Paphos last week, but had to be replaced at half-time. Malo Gusto at right back, James Fofana Cucurella at left back. In midfield, Caicedo alongside Andre Santos. Then it's Estevao, Enzo Fernandez and Pedro Neto in support of João Pedro in the attack. Chelsea in a similar position to so many of their rivals this evening. A win could be enough to see them through to the last 16, but this is all very likely to come down to goal difference. We are likely to have a whole host of teams level on the same points by the end of this evening, and whoever's got the best goal difference, maybe we could go down to best goals scored, will be the ones who go through. So Antonio Conte, who led Napoli to the Serie A title last season, he would love to get one over on his former employees. Tonight, when Chelsea's consolation is Napoli's ambition. Chelsea, who've got the playoff spot at worst as we get underway. Chelsea in their change strip tonight, black shirts. Napoli hoping to secure a playoff position. That's the best that they can aspire to tonight, as the ball is played forward for Chelsea up towards João Pedro. Does well to control a high ball, gives it back to Reece James, over to Malo Gusto on the right hand side, back into Reece James, and it does look like Chelsea are starting with this flat back four as Højlund sprints in on Robert Sanchez, who steps out of his penalty area to clear the ball away high up over the halfway line. Di Lorenzo jumps for it and Napoli get it under control, and it's rolled back to the goalkeeper Alex Mere. Napoli 0, Chelsea 0. Is slow to get back to his feet, Giovanni Di Lorenzo, who jumped for the ball in the air there and fell awkwardly. He was collided into by João Pedro.
Yeah, good commitment from João Pedro. Did have his eyes on the ball as that was played forward. Really long ball forward. Went in to compete. He led with his arms. They were low. They weren't outstretched much. They weren't certainly above shoulder level. Tucked in, probably to his midriff. But that's what connected with his opposite number, flush in the face. And he's certainly feeling the effects of it. He's still not up from the clash.
Giovanni Di Lorenzo, very experienced player, 32 years of age. Tonight his 33rd appearance in the Champions League. There's only one or two who've made more appearances in this competition for the club than him, and he's still receiving treatment here. He was jumping alongside his teammate Juan Jesus, and he was sort of the ham and the sandwich as João Pedro came in to join as well, and Giovanni Di Lorenzo just getting back up to his feet. So a reminder of how things stand. Arsenal and Bayern Munich, the only two teams who are guaranteed to be progressing straight through to the last 16. Real Madrid in very good nick due to their points and goal difference. Liverpool seem to be in a strong position too. Spurs, well, they'll certainly need the win and hope that results go their way elsewhere. Paris Saint-Germain are playing Newcastle, so that's two teams in the top 8 up against each other. So if they can't both win, that's going to open up the door for someone. Chelsea starting this evening in 8th position, a position that they want to hold on to avoid 2 extra games in February. The ball is played up towards Rasmus Højlund. He controls. Reece James prods it away for Chelsea. Round about the halfway line, Andre Santos jumps and wins ahead of them. Moises Caicedo, who's so good at doing that, lunges in, makes an interception. Chelsea regain possession on the halfway line. Reece James with a bright yellow captain's armband will roll it into Wesley Fofana. Fofana, who's had such a long track record of injuries in his career, but tonight his 20th appearance for Chelsea in all competitions. That's an important milestone for him. As an unforced error here by Marc Cucurella, he slices a clearance, he puts it out of play, and there's a cheer from the Napoli fans for that. 0-0.
Yeah, because they want to start the game quickly. They want to apply pressure to this Chelsea team, get them on the back foot, win the ball back, get the crowd behind them as quickly as possible, and that's what happened in that moment of pressure. They just forced Chelsea back into the left back position, right across from the back 3, back 4. I'll discuss that as the game goes on, what Chelsea are actually doing at the back. But yeah, they forced that mistake quite early, and they're pleased with themselves.
High press from Chelsea. Estevao blocks the attempted clearance of Alessandro Bongiorno, tonight making his 50th appearance for the club. The Italian defender has it here on the edge of his area. McTominay, who's been forced to play a bit more of a deeper position in recent weeks. He's been a constant goal scorer since moving to Italy. He's had to play a little bit more of a defensive role. That said, he's still their top scorer in the Champions League this season. As Mere bowls the ball out over to the right-hand side to Spinazzola. His long pass now. He's searching and looking for Rasmus Højlund, running up against Fofana here. And Højlund, after a few little shoves, gives a more firm one. And that ball goes out of play. And that will be back to Robert Sanchez away behind him. But free kick rather needlessly given away by Rasmus Højlund there.
Yeah, frustrating free kicks to give away as a striker. Right across the league, doesn't matter whether you're in Europe or the Premier League. I think nowadays if a defender gets back in to win the ball and a striker just touches them from behind in his attempt to go win the ball, defenders are so quick to go to ground, and that's all that happened there. Fofana quite quick to go down, win that free kick, ease the pressure on Chelsea.
Early goal in the Champions League tonight has gone to Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres has scored inside 2 minutes of the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Carrot Almaty 0, as Napoli come on the attack at their own stadium towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area, but Reece James sweeping across in front of his own goalkeeper is able to clear the ball away. Cucurella has it on the left-hand side. Barcelona have gone behind at home to Copenhagen. Barcelona 0, Copenhagen 1, as Chelsea come into the penalty area, but Pedro Neto were able to pick out a teammate, and Athletic Bilbao have taken the lead against Sporting. So 3 very early goals in these 8 o'clock kickoffs. All the games tonight starting at the same time on the deciding evening of the group phase of the Champions League.
Yeah, wasted opportunity there for Chelsea. I thought it was a good break, back to front, good passage of play. Neto came really deep, got the ball, won it back, and then continued his run forward. And I think it was João Pedro was on the far side of the pitch, was offside when Cucurella played the ball forward, and he just left it. Neto ran onto it, got into the penalty area, had 3 players up alongside him and just picked a completely wrong pass, tried to cut it back. There wasn't an option there. Would have been better either running at the defender or just trying to flash it across where they had numbers. And opportunity there for Chelsea, they've let go adrift.
So Napoli 0, Chelsea 0, 5 minutes played in southern Italy. And Barcelona going behind ends up being good news for Manchester City at the moment. In the live table, City would move up to 9th. That is a step closer to the top 8 that they aspire to. All those early goals that have gone in, 4 different games with early goals now, with Club Brugge taking the lead against Marseille, but it hasn't affected the teams currently in the top 8. So as things stand, Chelsea still in the automatic spots to go through to the last 16. Malo Gusto rolls it back to the edge of his own penalty area. Reece James back to Robert Sanchez. Chelsea playing through a very energetic Napoli press as Elif Almas, the Macedonian, tries to charge down the goalkeeper and then tries to chase after Reece James as well. Chelsea are still in their final third here. They have it with Cucurella on the left-hand side. Plays it up to the feet of Pedro Neto. Back to Cucurella. Both teams in each other's faces, and it makes sense because tonight it's goal difference. There is no time to waste. Usually in the Champions League, a win of any description does. Tonight, both teams need to score goals. Caicedo's under pressure from McTominay, and Sanchez clearance hits the face of McTominay, and that could so easily have ricocheted into the net. It goes out for a goal kick. McTominay stunned a little bit here. He's got the full force of that in his face from point blank range as the keeper cleared it away. That was a real thud, but it could, Leon, so easily have given Napoli the lead.
Yeah, absolutely, out of nothing. Again, good pressure from Napoli. They really are trying to put Chelsea under pressure, certainly in Chelsea's final third. They forced Chelsea to go back right across the edge of their own penalty area. He tried to play out. Enzo Fernandez ended up getting caught on the ball. He was after a free kick. The referee didn't give it. Chelsea ended up finding the ball, getting it back just about from Caicedo inside his own penalty area under severe pressure from McTominay. Plays it back to Sanchez. McTominay just follows it. Sanchez doesn't. I think he panics a little bit. I think he could have passed it either side, maybe even took a touch, but he hit it right into the face of Scott McTominay, who is feeling the pain of that. He's on the floor, but he was nearly celebrating the opening goal had that just stayed under the crossbar.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a worrying thing to say, but we do have a lot of cases of players who are going down quite easy at the moment, trying to infiltrate the rules that say a game needs to be stopped. This is a genuine injury here for McTominay because it's full smack from point blank range right into his face. and he wouldn't have been prepared and tense for it to hit his body there. He was hoping it would come off some lower part of his body. He's sitting up now, Scott McTominay, but he still does look a little dazed. They've got a big ice pack out and they're just trying to cool him down and calm him down. And certainly Napoli, given the fact that they've such a weak bench tonight, it would be a big problem if they were to lose Scott McTominay this early in a game like this.
Yes, absolutely. Become a bit of a hero, hasn't he? At Napoli at the moment, he's all action, full of energy, big engine, getting down the pitch, and if nothing else, his face will be stinging after that one.
Yeah, McTominay back up at his feet. Looks like he will be okay to continue. They'll give him a minute just to regain his composure. Right, big developments elsewhere in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle United 0. Vitinha has scored for the reigning Champions League holders. You can listen to commentary of that game right now over on our sister station 5 Live. But the implication immediately with that, with Newcastle going behind, they drop out of the top 8 and Manchester City by default leapfrog back over them. So Manchester City for the moment up into the top 8, taking the place of Newcastle. Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool all still in those places they want to be. Paris Saint-Germain in front moves them for the moment up to 3rd place. Remember, it doesn't really matter where you finish in the top 8. Finishing in the top 8 is the goal tonight to go through to the last 16. 9 minutes played in Napoli. Napoli 0, Chelsea 0. Reece James gives the ball to Malo Gusto. Cheers from the local Italian crowd as the ball is played back to Fofana, and he's got Cucurella available on the left-hand side. Again, it's a high press from the Italian club. Enzo Fernandez is back to help out the defence, but his careless pass gives the ball away, and then Enzo Fernandez battles to win it back again. Napoli wanted a free kick there. Referee said it was a fair challenge by the Argentinian. Counter-attack for Chelsea. Estevao picks it up midway inside the Napoli half, gives it to the right wing to Malo Gusto. Wall of blue shirted defenders in front of him, so he plays a comfortable ball back to Caicedo. Chelsea holding on to possession here just outside their opponent's penalty area. Estevao, little dance over the ball, gives it back to the feet of Reece James, and then he can't pick an easy pass forward, so it's back to Fofana near the centre circle. Chelsea trying to exert a little bit of control here as the clock hits 10 minutes and it's still 0-0 on 5 Live Sports Extra 2.
Yeah, good consistency from the referee there. Enzo Fernandez wanted a free kick moments before. The referee told him it was soft and to get up and do the exact same in the favour of Enzo Fernandez there, and that's what started that Chelsea break forward. Got well advanced with numbers, just couldn't quite find that all-important pass once they got to the edge of the penalty area, but good patience in getting there.
João Pedro tries to come forward for Chelsea. It's an evening when Chelsea will know they may not get too many chances. They've got to take what does come their way. Estevao tries to cross and it's deflected away off the defender, and that goes out for the first corner of the game. Corner to Chelsea on the right-hand side.
Taken quickly as well. No surprise that Estevao is there. Decent ball in. Unfortunate that they didn't quite make anything of that corner kick there. But quick thinking from Chelsea. Estevao not only in winning the set piece, but also then going and taking it quickly, being involved in trying to catch Napoli flat-footed, and ended up with an effort at that far post. Good sharp play.
Napoli 0, Chelsea 0. Napoli in possession. Game that's been played very much in a cup tie atmosphere here. You can tell the difference when a draw's of no use to either team tonight. They'll both feel they got to win. It makes it much more entertaining. Kind of feels like a knockout game in a World Cup, something like that, when, you know, not even like a knockout game in the Champions League, because that would be over 2 legs. This has got the real bite to it of a game that both teams know they've got to win. There's no penalty shootout. There's no other way of winning through a draw. You've got to go and win it over the 90 minutes as Napoli come forward down the right-hand side with Stanislav Lobotka, but he can't hold on to possession for long. Good work by Vergara, sliding down on the ground, tries to do a little round-the-world move, very Diego Maradona-esque in the Napoli shirt down there with his socks pulled down low. Attempt to cross in by Spinazzola, and the ball goes out for a throw into Napoli. Attacking position for them down the right-hand side, still 0-0.
Yeah, Chelsea are playing quite a fluid sort of system, certainly at the back. There are times when they certainly look like a back three with Reece James, Fofana, Cucurella across the back, Neto on one side, Gusto pushing right up on the other side, and whenever that gets stretched, Andrew Santos is finding himself going and just playing as a centre-half momentarily. Whenever that happens quickly and there's a big turnover in possession, Napoli have the opportunity on the counter-attack with that big diagonal. Spinazzola's in some huge spaces on that right-hand side behind Cucurella.
Rasmus Højlund inside the penalty area for Napoli, on loan from Manchester United, tries to give it back into the midfield to Vergara, but Chelsea have been able to intercept, and there's a chance of a breakaway attack here. Estevao attacking down the right wing for Chelsea. Manchester City have taken the lead at the Etihad. More news on that in just a moment. Is João Pedro, little chop turn on the edge of the penalty area. He's got Malo Gusto in support. There's 2 Chelsea players in the middle. They wanted played in early. It was Neto and it was Enzo Fernandez, but the cross took too long, it was cut out by a defender, and Chelsea still have possession, but they're now back closer to the halfway line. So Erling Haaland has given Manchester City the lead at the Etihad. City 1, Galatasaray 0. An equaliser in Spain, Bilbao 1, Sporting 1. Ousmane Diomande has got the equaliser there for the Portuguese club. Bayer Leverkusen have taken the lead against Villarreal, and Club Brugge have doubled their advantage against Marseille. At the moment, Chelsea still inside the top 8 positions, despite those goals that have gone in elsewhere, as Caicedo goes down near the centre circle and is adjudged to have committed a foul on McTominay, and that is a free kick to Napoli, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot of space through the middle of the pitch. Certainly, Chelsea have a number of players in there. Caicedo, Enzo, Santos. Quite often Estevao is drifting into the possession, into the centre of the pitch, and Napoli are the same. Lobotka, McTominay, Vicara are all in that central position with that back five that Napoli play. So Chelsea find it quite difficult to go centrally at the moment.
McTominay tries to play a through ball in front of Rasmus Højlund. Fofana got goal side, and then any touch at all from the Dane, Fofana was always going to land on the turf, and that is a free kick to Chelsea. Scott McTominay, who only ever scored 1 Champions League goal during his time at Manchester United, but he's already got 4 this season for Napoli. Scored against Copenhagen last week, scored against Karabag in November. McTominay got 2 against PSV in October, and a player who scored against Chelsea in his Manchester United days in the Premier League. He's actually got a very good record against Chelsea. He's played against them 13 times in the past. He's only ever lost once, Scott McTominay, against tonight's opposition, as Reece James clears the ball away. Header won by Juan Jesus near the halfway line. Lobotka stretching, and he gives possession away. Good first time touch for an early ball from Malo Gusto to release Estevao down the right wing. Plenty of defenders back for Napoli as Estevao veers in field. João Pedro, difficult one for him to receive, but he's fouled, and a free kick to Chelsea in what might even be a shooting position. Central location too, a few yards outside the D of the Napoli penalty area.
Yeah, he just bought that one at that moment there. He just saw Vicara trying to step back to take the ball, João Pedro, and he just saw him out the corner of his right eye, stepped into his path, stepped across, took the contact after some good play yet again from Estevao. He really does look sharp, and looks like he's here to try and create something again for Chelsea, playing with a real freedom at the moment.
Quarter of an hour played at the Diego Maradona Stadium in Naples. Napoli 0, Chelsea 0. Free kick to Chelsea. Napoli are very busily erecting a wall here. Just to give you an idea of the distance out, this wall is going to be erected about a pace and a half inside the Napoli penalty area. Reece James, who's got a track record of hitting free kicks, scored one against Newcastle not so long ago, and he'll be interested. I mean, it is far out, but there's something about Italian grounds, Leo. We've seen an awful lot of goals in Serie A come from much greater distances than this.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got technicians stood over the ball, Estevao, Reece James, Endo Fernandez, all of them, I mean, it's probably 10 yards outside the penalty area, but it does give you the opportunity to get the ball up and over the wall and down again with real pace. Rather than when you're quite close to the goal, you might not be able to do that.
So Reece James rolls it to Enzo Fernandez, then he hits it. There's appeals for a handball in the wall in the penalty area, and the VAR is going to look at this. The decision is penalty. The referee points to the penalty spot. The free kick from Reece James, handled in the wall by Alessandro Buongiorno, and the referee has pointed to the penalty spot. VAR will have a look at this. We'll just see the replay. I think it's Juan Jesus actually who handles it. His arm is raised as the shot is struck, Leon. He's pulling the hand right back down towards his side at the moment of contact. Now it seems to hit his elbow and his hip maybe at the same time. Is there any chance that the VAR might turn this? No, in fact, if we've just got them, they're not going to. It's going to be a penalty kick.
Absolutely not overruling that one. Quite often in the Premier League, you know, we see ball striking the arm of players, and you know, I think we've all come to an understanding that it very rarely is a penalty kick. Well, I assure you that one is a penalty kick. He's in the wall, he jumps up with his arms, using them to get himself as high as possible, and then as that ball is about to go past his hip, he just lowers his left arm as quickly as he can right into the path of the ball, stops it going any further. He was on the end of the wall, it would have gone round him. Whether that would have made it difficult for the goalkeeper, he wouldn't know, but he was in that position. He probably just panicked in that moment, stopped it going any further. Referee very quick to give that decision, and now Chelsea have a huge chance to go ahead. Well,
it's already been a good night for Chelsea in terms of early scores elsewhere. This can make it a very good start to the night. 18 minutes played. Enzo Fernandez, who scored a penalty at Crystal Palace on Sunday, also scored a penalty against Charlton in the FA Cup recently. He's up against Alex Mere. He's taking his time here, Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea's opportunity to take the lead in southern Italy, and he waits. And he waits, and he's almost trying to psych out the keeper here. Enzo Fernandez tucks it away into the bottom left-hand corner. He bided his time, and he struck it straight and true. And it's Napoli 0, Chelsea 1. It's a great start for Liam Rossigna's team in Italy tonight.
Well, he certainly made us all wait for it. It started to feel a little bit awkward, the delay over the penalty kick, whether they thought the referee was going to ask him to speed up, but it was well worth waiting for. Real good composure, real good knowledge of when he was ready. Maybe just eyeing up the goalkeeper, wondering when he just psyched him out in that moment, knew when to go forward to take the penalty kick. Arrived at it perfectly, went hard and low to his left. The keeper went the right way, but it was struck so well and very much in the corner that even at full stretch the keeper can't get there. Brilliant penalty kick. A good start for Chelsea.
It's a goal that brings Enzo Fernandez into double figures for goals this season in all competitions. His 10th of the campaign. It is Napoli 0, Chelsea 1 on 5 Live Sports Extra 2. And that goal moves Chelsea up to 6th place, from 8th up to 6th in the live Champions League phase table. Goals elsewhere, Arsenal have doubled their lead at home against Karen Almaty. Kai Havertz on his return from injury on the score sheet there. So 2-0 to Arsenal after a quarter of an hour. 2-1 I should say. Arsenal 2, Carrot 1. Carrot had scored an equaliser, a penalty from Jorginho before that. As Napoli come on the attack down the right-hand side with Vergara. It's going to be picked up by El Massia, edge of the penalty area. Unselfishly shuffles it on to Oliveira. Saved by Sanchez, diving down. It was a cross-come shot from the Uruguayan, and Napoli get it away. Good response from the Italians to going behind, but Sanchez makes the save. Liverpool taking the lead at home against Karabakh. Alexis McAllister has scored the goal there. Pafos, who Chelsea beat last week, have taken the lead against Slavia Prague. Atletico Madrid are leading against Bodo Glimt, but it is the Enzo Fernandez goal from the penalty spot that is Chelsea ahead of Napoli. And as things stand in the Champions League, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City would be going through to the last 16 tonight. Spurs, because of the results elsewhere, Spurs at the moment will be dropping out of the top 8, and also Newcastle, who are trailing at home to Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, but Chelsea won't be concerned with any of that at the moment. They're in Napoli to try and get this job done, and they're in a great position. I think they've been quite assured in their play so far. They've been tactically set up pretty well. I think they may have even caught Napoli out in some ways in the way they've set up tactically. And, moving forward, they've looked good. Great penalty from Enzo Fernandez, and even the goalkeeper, even 20 minutes in, a bit of play was called upon. Really good, strong left hand work. That really difficult cross to deal with. Got down well low, pushed it right out of the dangerous area. Difficult to do, but good goalkeeping.
Chelsea will feel they deserve this. 20 minutes played, they have had the most possession in the game, despite being the team away from home. Malo Gusto gives it into Estevao midway inside his own half. A pass up towards João Pedro, who's easily tackled by Juan Jesus. And an opportunity here to come forward for Elif Elmas, stepping into the Chelsea penalty area. Left-hand side, veering infield, trying to find the angle for his shot. Gives it back to Lobotka. 5 yards outside the penalty area now in a central location. They work it to the right-hand side. Spinazzola up against Cucurella. That's a very clever ball into the penalty area. Low ball comes in for Fallon and Sanchez, both attacking, and Chelsea put it out for a corner. Corner to Napoli on the right-hand side. Napoli 0, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, good play from Napoli. And just getting in behind Cucurella on that left-hand side. I talked about the way Chelsea have set up defensively. It feels like a back three at times with Santos and Caicedo right in front of him. Like on that occasion, if Napoli can move it quickly, there's real spaces down the sides of those Chelsea, what do we call them, left and right centre-half pairing in Cucurella and Reece James, and they nearly took advantage of it there, Napoli.
Here comes the corner, rolled short to the edge of the penalty area to Lobotka. He's returned it to Vergara at the byline. Cross comes in, but it's headed away by Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea haven't fully cleared. Opportunity here. Vergara in the penalty area, pulls it back. This is Oliveira, couldn't get the shot away. Good defending. Reece James slid across to throw his body in the way. Chelsea haven't got it away. Vergara's cross straight to Robert Sanchez, and a big sigh of relief for Chelsea. That was a lot of Napoli pressure there.
Yeah, and they had the opportunity to defend that really early. There was a mixture of Neto and Estevao on the edge of the penalty area. Just didn't show enough desire to go and really clear that ball away, and because of it, Napoli won the ball in the Chelsea penalty area, had them really on the back foot. Chelsea scrambled really well. Talk about Fofana, Reece James in particular. Brilliant block, goalkeeper coming to the rescue. Real good defending when they needed it.
And Liverpool have doubled their lead at Anfield against Karabakh. Liverpool 2, Karabakh 0. Florian Wirtz has continued what's been a rich vein of form from him over the last month or so. Possession with Buongiorno at the back for Napoli. Gives it to Juan Jesus on his right-hand side. Now over to the captain, Di Lorenzo. Napoli holding on to possession here, but they're inside their own half as Spinazzola tries to play the ball forward, but Fofana, who's had a very steady start to the game, intercepts. And Chelsea have got possession again inside their own half of the field. Napoli 0, Chelsea 1. The goal in the 19th minute from Enzo's penalty, given away by Juan Jesus' handball inside the area after a free kick from Reece James was struck at it. Sanchez steps out of his penalty area here, plays a right-footed pass up towards João Pedro, who goes down, felt the push on his back, and that's a free kick to Chelsea round about the halfway line.
Yeah, great centre-forward play, really was. We've talked already 23 minutes in of how Napoli are really trying to pressure Chelsea, really trying to win the ball back high up. Chelsea not quite taking risk, but they're happy to take the ball in difficult areas. Napoli going man for man. They're going to be able leaving themselves 1v1 with João Pedro at the back. Ball to the goalkeeper. No one can really pass it. Just put it into an area and it's centre forward. When it got hold of the ball, won a free kick just on the halfway line. Good play.
Excellent start for Chelsea so far. Liam Rossini will be pleased down to the technical area. Antonio Conte's quite animated down there as he tends to be, but he's just had a long animated discussion with the fourth official. Chelsea, who don't have a great record on Italian soil for a club that have had so many former Italian players and managers over the years. Perhaps a surprise that Chelsea have lost 6 of their last 7 away games in Italy. Chelsea have already lost on Italian soil this season. They went 1-0 up at Atlanta, but ended up losing 2-1 in the end. That's been the only game this season that Chelsea have had the lead in the Champions League in and they've ended up losing. Napoli 0, Chelsea 1 for now.
Just as that bit of play was going on there, Connor, I was interested to see Liam Rossini on his touchline really going mad at one of the Chelsea defenders. I think it was Fofana. Chelsea were actually pressing Napoli on the right-hand side of the pitch as Liam Rossini is looking at it, and yeah, he was screaming at Fofana because he wasn't up with the rest of the team. As you well know, that if you're going to press properly, everybody needs to do it, and he had Fofana and maybe Cucurella up on that far side, not quite doing what the team needed them to, and he was very quick out of his dugout onto the sideline to make them aware of his feelings.
Estevalkovic, a foul on Buongiorno, free kick to Napoli. They look to play through the Chelsea press. Nice little movement there by Lobotka, plays it up towards Rasmus Højlund. Fofana for company, and opportunity now for Vergara to scamper away down the right wing. Andre Santos is the nearest defender to him. Good delivery into the centre. He was looking for Rasmus Højlund, but Reece James wins the sprint and heads it out for a corner. Excellent defending for the Chelsea captain.
Again, those are the moments Napoli having a little bit of joy whenever they can get down the sides of this Chelsea team. Runners from deep, especially from the wing backs or all the wide players, Cara, Elmas, Spinazzola, Vieira. They can get those with overlap and runs into those wide areas down the side of the penalty area, causing Chelsea problems.
Napoli corner to be taken on the right hand side. It's an in-swinger. Sanchez decided to come, he fumbles it but picks the ball up on the bounce. And a quick early distribution out to Enzo Fernandez. He'll bring possession to Pedro Neto, it is. Bring possession up over the halfway line on the right-hand side for Chelsea, wearing the change kit tonight, all black. Napoli in their traditional sky blue shirts, the white shorts and sky blue socks. Moises Caicedo has possession inside the centre circle. Andre Santos plays a little 1-2 with Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea looking in good control, but there have been glimmers from Napoli, looking dangerous on counter-attacks just in recent minutes. Neto here trying to get in around the back of Oliveira. Brilliant from Neto, chance to scoop it over the goalkeeper. Mere came out, there's an attempted backheel by João Pedro, which goes wide of the target. Pedro Neto nearly created something out of nothing there.
Oh, just for sheer pace. I mean, he must have given Oliveira between 5 and 8 yards head start in that moment. Reece James played a ball over the top, and I didn't think it was on. I didn't think he was going to be able to get there in that moment. Such was the distance he gave up, but blistering pace from Pedro Neto. Effort at goal, hits the keeper flush in the face as it was going goalwards. That's actually a really good save. Make sure Chelsea didn't go 2 up.
It's excellent save from Mere tonight. Pedro Neto there as Rasmus Højlund tries to come forward on the surge down the other end. Plays the ball over to Oliveira on the left-hand side, 10 yards short of the penalty area. Pushes it now towards the edge of the box. Elmas rolls it back, needs some support here. Buongiorno has come up from defence to offer an outlet. Elmas again, 15 yards from the byline. Left-hand side as Napoli come forward. Delivery comes in from Oliveira. Chelsea have got everyone back in defence. As Di Lorenzo tries to keep it alive here. Oh, he's done really well, Di Lorenzo. Tight angle, tries to shoot it in, comes off the shins of Robert Sanchez and goes out for another corner. That was brilliant from Di Lorenzo. Don't know if he meant that, but he prodded it forward and was able to run onto his own pass.
Yeah, just desire and commitment. And Chelsea, as a team, just stopped. I think it was Reece James maybe off Fofana, just stooped a little bit low to head the ball. They thought it should have been a foot up free kick. The referee didn't give it. As you said, Di Lorenzo kept going, and it actually took a really important save this time for the Chelsea goalkeeper to keep the scores as they are.
Manchester City have doubled their lead at home against Galatasaray at the Etihad. City 2, Galatasaray 0. Here comes the Napoli corner from the left-hand side towards the back post. Good leap in that area to hit the ball downwards. It was Oliveira, but comfortably saved in the end by Robert Sanchez. So almost half an hour played. Chelsea doing what they need to do tonight. They are in front. They have scored one goal, which adds to their goal difference advantage. And at the moment, Chelsea are in sixth of the top 8. And at the moment, going straight through to the round of 16. At the moment, Spurs and Newcastle and Barcelona would all have to settle for a place in the playoffs. And for Napoli, well, their Champions League adventure could be under pressure this evening. Napoli, at the moment, would be eliminated. They started the evening in 25th position. Because they're 1-0 down here, they slip back to 28th. And at a bare minimum here, Napoli have got to turn this around and win. And then they've got to hope that the goal difference will be in their favour. 1-0 to Chelsea for the moment. Enzo Fernandez plays the ball forward, out to Estevao on the right-hand side. Running at Oliveira. Gusto provides an outlet in field. It's a delivery to the penalty area though, looking for a run of Pedro Neto, and the ball ricochets up in the air and Mere is able to come out and make the save. Napoli 0, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, that was one of the best moves we've seen from Chelsea for a while. They've just been under a bit of pressure in the last 5 minutes or so from Napoli, just as we see a replay of Di Lorenzo chance. It was a tight angle when he eventually got his shot away, one you'd expect Sanchez to save, but up the other end of the pitch, they've been up under a bit of pressure, Chelsea. They do need to just get a bit of possession of the ball inside that Napoli half. That was a good move, but Estevao just tried to force a pass through, maybe a bit of youth, maybe an experience that knowing what the game needed in that moment. Get the ball away again, Chelsea.
30 minutes on the big stadium clock. Chelsea leading in southern Italy. Vergara under pressure to hold on to possession, but he does manage to do so, held off the intentions of Andre Santos there. Napoli, who've only once lost a home Champions League game against an English club. It was when Manchester City won here a long time ago now, 9 years ago. Napoli will be hoping that there is still plenty time to go this evening. Mere has it, the goalkeeper decked out all in red. Away to our right-hand side. They don't pump it long, Napoli. They tend to play little short passes out of the penalty area. Therefore, the likes of João Pedro and Pedro Neto and Estevao are lurking on the edge of that space, hoping that they can force an error, maybe spark an interception. Looks like it was a kick to the head there. Malo Gusto, not intentionally, but he has got Oliveira, and the referee obliged, because it's a head injury, to bring play to a halt. And again, with this little break in play, Liam Rosenior calls over the captain, and he's very animatedly giving him instructions here. It's been a good start, but Liam Rosenior isn't counting any chickens just yet.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we've just talked about the record Napoli have got here against English teams. They know the difficulty of coming away with the points that Chelsea require. So, yeah, they're going to a good position, a good moment of the game, but there's an awful lot left, an awful lot of instructions he'd like them to follow to make sure they come away with all 3 of these points.
Bilbao have doubled their lead against Sporting in the Champions League tonight, and Real Madrid have taken the lead in front away at Benfica. Benfica 0, Real Madrid 1. Kylian Mbappe with the goal after half an hour there. Ajax have gone 1-0 up against Olympiacos. So Real Madrid, as things stand, 3rd in the table. Rasmus Højlund trying to come forward for Napoli here, but Andre Santos tracking back well, makes the interception, and Chelsea clear the ball away. It doesn't go very far, mind you. Vergara picks it up just outside the penalty area. Launched by Casero, can't stop it. Vergara turns. That's an amazing goal! Antonio Vergara has spun into the penalty area. He's done a 360-degree pirouette to elude a tackle, and then he's rolled the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. Sparkling skills from the Italian. Antonio Vergara gets the very important equaliser. Napoli 1, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, we're talking about Napoli putting a bit more pressure on Chelsea in the last 5 or maybe even 10 minutes now. And it's eventually got them this goal back. But this is a wonderful piece of individual skill from Vergara, picking the ball up, running at Chelsea defenders. As you say, a good bit of skill. But it starts because there may have been a suspicion of Rasmus Højlund being an offside when that first initial ball went forward. I don't know whether they'll check that. But as it goes forward, Chelsea have left themselves stretched. It ends up being Andre Santos that has to chase Rasmus Højlund back. Centre midfielder chasing a centre half back. So spread out at Chelsea defensively, and from that they never really recover. And when Vergara wins the ball back, Chelsea are too spread out. Nobody really centrally except for Fofana, who ends up getting done in a 1v1 situation inside the penalty area. As you say, a good 360 twist, taking the ball with him all the way on that left foot from Vergara. And then you wonder, will he stay on his feet because there was contact, could have been a penalty? Will he be able to finish it? And he did the lot, and it's a really good finish.
Huge moment for Antonio Conte, huge goal for Napoli. Vergara, who did one of those little round-the-world moves, he did it in the opening minute of the game, and I was sort of joking, the stadium is called the Diego Maradona Stadium. I mean, Maradona used to love that move where he would swivel the full 360 degrees on the ball. Vergara there, a real throwback, but it wasn't just flashy for flashy's sake, it was very effective in taking him around Fofana, and then a really cool finish after that move too, to just gently roll the ball into the bottom corner. He didn't blast it, he didn't rush the moment. That was a very composed taking of the final touch.
Yeah, absolutely was. And also the fact that he stayed on his feet. I think when that contact happened, I expected him to actually go to ground. They've already had a penalty kick against them. Napoli, every chance of that would have been given in their favour, but he didn't. He took the contact from Fofana, used it to help propel him all the way around 360. He's facing the goal again, and once he was there, just hit it hard and low. So close to Sanchez, couldn't really do a thing about it.
Huge moment for Antonio Vergara, his first ever goal for Napoli. He'll do well to score many better than that. Napoli won, Chelsea won, and the implication briefly as the goal went in was bad for Chelsea. It pushed them out of the top 8 down to 9th position. However, goals elsewhere have now moved Chelsea back up to the top 8 once again. So there'll be lots of reassertions and lots of developments as this evening continues. Atletico Madrid, who are now only drawing against Bodo Glimt. So Madrid were ahead of Chelsea briefly there, but because of the equaliser for Bodo Glimt, that pushes Atletico Madrid down to 9th place, and Chelsea are back up to 8th place. Spurs have been able to spring back up into the top 8 as well. They currently lie in 7th. Manchester City leading by 2 goals still against Galatasaray are in 6th. Liverpool are still in 4th. At the moment, it's only Newcastle of the English clubs who are outside of the straight to the round of 16 top 8 for the moment.
Yeah, it's not where they want to be. Well, there's an awful lot of football left. Yeah, Connor, as we both well know, I'm sure there'll be so many more changes of positions for all the teams, never mind just the English teams we're kind of concentrating on. But Chelsea just a little bit rocked there, just spent the last couple of minutes again under a bit of pressure. João Pedro's won them another good free kick just to get them up the pitch, just to give them an opportunity to string a couple of passes together and really compose himself in the game.
Napoli won, Chelsea in possession midway inside their own half. Andre Santos rolls it back to Robert Sanchez. Sanchez, who's playing in the Champions League for the first time in his career this season. He goes long here, looking for Pedro Neto. Difficult to control under pressure from Vergara. And then that looks to be a foul by Andre Santos, and the referee blows his whistle and gives the free kick to Napoli. This is 10-15 yards inside Chelsea territory. Pedro Neto will claim he didn't do an awful lot wrong there, but it was Andre Santos coming across, then colliding into Vergara, that was the reason the free kick was given.
There's not an awful lot Santos could do either. I think he had to make contact. I think, again, I talk about it, Cucurella had made a run really high and wide from a hybrid left-back position. Neto had lost the ball. Both of them were out of position as Napoli had the opportunity to get down those wing-back areas, get down the sides of that Chelsea defence. It was a good foul, actually, by Santos.
Napoli in possession. They have it with Spinazzola over the right-hand side, but well dealt with by a crunching tackle from Cucurella. Spinazzola stays on the deck as Chelsea come away with the ball. Pedro Neto up over the halfway line. Cucurella in support of it. Infield now to Enzo Fernandez. Spinazzola's back up on his feet as Caicedo rolls it short to Reece James. Chelsea have seen most of the ball, have had the lead tonight in southern Italy, but a quite wonderful individual goal from Antonio Vergara has the Italian club back level at 1-1 for now. Neto in possession, 20 yards outside the penalty area, the Chelsea attack. He's on the left-hand side of the field as the visitors come forward. Cucurella into Enzo Fernandez. 10 players behind the ball for Napoli. Neto gets possession again on the left-hand side here. He's pointing where he wants a teammate to run, but then he doesn't like the run that's made, so he holds onto the ball for a moment. Back to Enzo Fernandez, back to Pedro Neto once again. The whistles and the jeers from the Napoli fans. And there are 7 minutes of normal time to play until the break in the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium in Naples. Ball given away by Malo Gusto to Elif Elmas. Napoli have it, but they're right on the edge of their own penalty area. Buongiorno back to Alex Mere, and sensibly he decides not to continue the short passing routine out of the box. He clears it high up towards the halfway line. McTominay stretches, tries to control. He's got support from Vergara. Back to McTominay again. Good, powerful, surging run this by Scott McTominay, and he's got support too. Spinazzola's available on the right-hand side. Højlund waiting patiently inside the penalty area, hoping that this comes his way. Low ball in. McTominay, clever little layoff. Vergara's shot is away off target. This is much better from Napoli now. They've taken a while to get going, but they look like the reigning Italian champions at the moment.
Yeah, and every time they pick the ball up, there are spaces to run into, there are opportunities to play forward passes, there are good lines to find teammates ahead of the ball. Scott McTominay is starting to become a much bigger influence on the game, just finding those spaces, driving forward, getting much closer to Rasmus Højlund at the top of the pitch. But Chelsea on the other hand keeping the ball okay at times, getting to the edge of Napoli's penalty area, but with no real intent. They're moving it backwards and forwards, and I mean, on the last, I think, 2 occasions, Malo Gusto's given the ball away really cheaply. They're not deciding to really go cutthroat, Chelsea, but they're also not keeping it well enough, so yeah, it's no surprise Napoli are on top at the moment.
5 minutes plus the stoppages to go until the break. 1-1 between Napoli and Chelsea. Benfica have got an equaliser at home against Real Madrid. Benfica 1, Real Madrid 1, and Arsenal have got their 3rd goal of the night at the Emirates. Arsenal 3, Kairat Almaty 1. Arsenal, who were guaranteed of going through anyway. Only they and Bayern Munich knew for sure they were into the last 16 at the start of tonight, but they do want that 100% record, and it looks like for the moment Mikel Arteta's team are going to get it. Arsenal 3, Kairat Almaty 1. So in the top 8 positions, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Liverpool have moved up to 3rd because Real Madrid conceded that equaliser. Paris Saint-Germain, who are ahead of Newcastle. Madrid are in 5th place, Manchester City up in 6th, and then it's Spurs and Chelsea in 7th and 8th. So as things stand, Liam Rosenior's team are going to achieve their objective tonight and go through to the last 16, even if this was to finish at a 1-1 draw. But that is as things are at the moment, and goals elsewhere can very quickly change that and push Chelsea out of the top 8. So it's a perilous position at the moment as Oliveira has possession for Napoli. 4.5 minutes to go until the break. Di Lorenzo rolls the ball into the midfield to Lobotka. Back behind him is Scott McTominay. McTominay's looked dangerous the handful of occasions that he has run forward tonight, but most of his work is being done in the engine room of the midfield. Here is Buongiorno.
He's spoken, hasn't he? He's been asked to play a lot deeper this year. Scott McTominay with injuries and things, though it's happened. Just saying, thought maybe Chelsea would get an attack going there. Yeah, but he's operating a lot deeper, but he's still having to find those runs to get forward. He still wants to be dangerous. He still wants to get the goals tally close to what he was last year. That means being more intelligent with his runs, better timing with his runs. But since he started to become an influence on this game, Napoli have looked a lot better.
Napoli 1, Chelsea 1. If you're just joining us over on 5 Live, Manchester City are comfortably... Newcastle are trailing at Paris Saint-Germain on 5 Live Sports Extra. Manchester City are comfortable ahead against Galatasaray. Here's Lobotka coming forward for Napoli. Good work by Malo Gusto to stay goal side of him, but Napoli hold on to possession. McTominay onto Vergara, who's been really impressive. Spinazzola sends it across on the right-hand side. Caicedo's first touch was weak, but then he gets a second touch, and he's relieved that he does. There was a little hesitation from Caicedo. I think he thought that Fofana was going to clear it away instead, but it came off him, and it could have fallen to a Napoli player. This is Elmas. The Italian reigning champions are on the attack here still. Low ball in Oliveira, and it's played in by Rasmus Højlund, and Napoli take the lead. 3 minutes ahead of half-time. Rasmus Højlund, on loan from Manchester United, has Napoli turn it around. They were 1-0 down. They now lead. Napoli 2, Chelsea 1, and this is now a problem for Liam Rosenior.
Yeah, another well-worked goal from Napoli. Wonderful finish. Rasmus Højlund, as the ball came across to him, And this time they get down the left-hand side, Napoli, and again Chelsea just finding themselves stretched. They're just seeing Moses Caicedo barking orders at his teammates, trying to figure out the spaces and who should be covering which distances. There's no doubt that the way they're set up at the moment with this semi-back four, back five, not quite sure what they're doing exactly. It's just not working. As the half's grown on, Napoli have started to find the spaces and the opportunities down the sides of it. And as that ball comes across, as that ball gets played down the side, it's Caicedo out in the full-back area trying to stop the cross. Reece James nowhere near stopping the ball going in. Fofana 1v1 with Højlund, who just gets ahead of him. Sharper, quicker, brighter, and it's a good finish inside the frame of the goal. Reece James nowhere near helping his centre-half partner out, and as I say, Napoli are really taking advantage of the holes as the half's worn on.
Brilliant movement from Rasmus Højlund to get in front of Fofana. Smart finish too for the player who found goals so hard to come by over the course of his Manchester United career. And United are still his parent club, but that goal moves him ahead of Scott McTominay, and Rasmus Højlund is now Napoli's top goal scorer this season in all competitions. Napoli 2, Chelsea 1. An evening that started so well for Chelsea has become much more of a battle now as Enzo Fernandez puts it in front of Neto. Great pace from Neto again, scorching ahead of Di Lorenzo. Little stumble from Neto, but he holds his composure here. Right foot across, just too high for João Pedro. What a brilliant delivery from Pedro Neto. And if it was either an inch or two shorter, or if João Pedro was an inch or two taller, that would surely have been 2-2.
Yeah, just couldn't quite find the inches, could he, to get over the top of that cross as it came in. João Pedro just managed to keep it underneath the goal frame. But Chelsea just show again there, when they're bright, when they're positive, when they play a forward pass, or they make a forward run followed by a forward pass, they can make opportunities against this Napoli team. I think far too often in this first half, especially when they were ahead, they were just happy just to keep the ball without really going anywhere with it.
Well, Chelsea will be disappointed to have lost their lead and now trail, but you have to say this format is delivering us a very exciting game here, Leo, because both teams still attack. I mean, Napoli can't rest on their laurels. Yes, they've got the lead, but they need goal difference. They've got to go and score more. Chelsea now at the moment realise that they'd be dropping down to 12th in the table. They've got to attack, so it's going to be helter-skelter. It really does make it a very entertaining prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're in the old format, you're coming up in a group stage, you know which teams are in your group, 4 teams, you know roughly where you are at this point. Obviously, when you're given who you're playing, the fixtures list at the start of the Champions League season, you never quite know who's going to be where come the end, but because of how many teams still have to compete for different parts, whether that as we said, the automatic or just qualification in general, there's so much to play for, and we've seen that from this Napoli team as they try and progress.
One of Antonio Conte's assistants has been shown a yellow card there, as I think it's not Christian Stellini. Do you remember Christian Stellini, who was his assistant at Spurs and who actually took over the team for a brief period when Conte was sacked? It wasn't him. It was one of his other coaches has been shown a yellow card down there. So 3 minutes being added on for stoppages at the end of the first half. 3 goals already in the game. Chelsea scoring first, a penalty from Enzo Fernandez, but Napoli have been able to respond, and they now lead. Vergara and Højlund making it Napoli 2, Chelsea 1, as Elmas comes on the attack, tries to take the ball on for Napoli, shows too much of the ball to Malo Gusto, who wallops it away downfield. Anywhere will do, as he launches it all the way back to Alex Mere, away to our right-hand side. So, Chelsea, who started the evening in 8th position, currently in 12th. They've got Inter, Newcastle, Atalanta all ahead of them, and all those teams still outside the much coveted top 8 positions. We knew it was going to fluctuate a lot tonight. Chelsea hope that there's still a few more pendulum swings to come here. Elmas battles hard in the midfield, does well, but he's outfoxed by a hungry João Pedro. Now Estevao tries to scurry away down the right hand side, but his ball back in field towards João Pedro was weak. It's intercepted by Bianchiano. He gets the decision from the referee there, and Napoli are just beginning to win more and more of those little 50-50 battles right now.
Yeah, so many players around the ball. I mean, Chelsea actually came out on top initially, and in doing so never really did anything with the ball. Estevao, instead of turning away, running forward, turned back into trouble, tried to make a silly pass, gave the ball away, and suddenly Chelsea trying to scramble for it again. It's been that kind of half, opportunity to turn and go one way. Chelsea have turned their way back into trouble, I feel, in this first half, and I think they'll be quite pleased when the referee blows the half-time whistle.
Mentioned earlier Napoli's strong home record against English clubs. Well, regardless of the country that the opposition has come from. Napoli unbeaten in the last 20 home games here at this stadium in the Champions League. The last team to win here was Real Madrid. That was 2 seasons ago. They have done very well not to be overawed by the strong start Chelsea made here. Dominating possession, scoring the early goal. Napoli have trusted the process, and despite the lengthy injury list for Antonio Conte at the moment, they've got to be extremely satisfied in how they've turned this around to lead. There's the whistle for the break. What an entertaining 45 minutes that was. Chelsea will have to step up a gear if they're to avoid the playoffs. Remember, it is playoffs at worst for Chelsea. They're not going to get eliminated from Europe tonight. But what looked to be such a dominant start, Enzo Fernandez's penalty after Juan Jesus' handball. However, Vergara's bit of magic, Rasmus Højlund with some real neat finishing, and I'm sure there'll be a little wry smile on the faces of Manchester United fans hearing that Højlund scores tonight, Leon. I mean, he didn't get much service in his Manchester United career. He's only had one proper chance tonight. Boy, did he take it well. Yeah,
but he's led the line quite well. I think he's enjoyed the challenge. He's only ever really been up against one Chelsea centre-half at any point. He's never really been passed on or ran between the two. So whenever he's made his runs, he's known he's only got the man marking him to beat. He can run into space. As soon as he creates that opportunity, he's running into space if someone puts the ball in. That's exactly what happened for his goal, and that's why Napoli lead.
Okay, it is 1-1 in southern Italy. Chelsea with work to do in the second half. Come back to us for that. But big news in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain, who are leading Newcastle United by a goal to nil. Newcastle have equalised just ahead of half-time. PSG 1, Newcastle 1. So they'll be talking about that over on 5 Live. Let's join them now. Here's Mark Chapman and the team.
8th in the as it stands table, and in fact that equaliser for Newcastle drops Paris Saint-Germain down to 7th. What's helping Newcastle at the moment as they try and stay in the top 8 is that Atletico Madrid are being held at home by Bodo Glimt. So Atletico Madrid just missing out on the top 8 as things stand. Manchester City, as things stand, 5th in the table. They've had a very comfortable first half at the Etihad. Ian Dennis.
Yes, they have. They lead 2-0 against Galatasaray, so they are on course, not just because they're leading, but remember they need results to go their way as well in at least 4 of the other games, and currently 5 are going in their favour elsewhere. Haaland put them ahead after 10 minutes. Doku's through ball, left-footed chip over the advancing goalkeeper. Doku again then the provider with a cut back from the left just before the half hour. Cherki and Mark placed the ball past Çakir, the goalkeeper. Doku, though, has since left the field through injury. They could have made it 3 before the break. Nouri, who's been getting a lot of space down the left-hand side. He was streaking away down that flank. He crossed low. Foden, the replacement for Doku, skied it, but Manchester City on course for a top 8 finish. 2-0 they lead at the break.
And Benfica have turned things round at home to Real Madrid. John Bennett.
Yes, Pavlidis has just scored a penalty. Benfica 2, Real Madrid 1. Benfica deserve it. They have been excellent. So Real Madrid at the moment still in the top 8. They're 5th, but it's getting nervy for them. Benfica still outside the playoff places. Benfica 2, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much. Speaking of turning things around, Napoli have done exactly the same thing at home to Chelsea. So this at the moment knocks Chelsea out of the top 8 and gets Napoli into the top 24. Chris Coles.
Indeed, Napoli 2, Chelsea 1. This game being played at frenetic pace. Napoli doing most of the attacking and have a merited lead. Chelsea had struck first. Enzo Fernandez penalty given for handball from a free kick. Great penalty as well, low into the corner. But Napoli responded. Antonio Vergara's fine turn in the box. He finished low into the corner, and then Rasmus Højlund in good goal-scoring form on the end of a low ball into the front post. He finished it off the frame of the goal. But on the stroke of half-time, João Pedro missed a glorious chance to equalise, heading over a terrific cross from the left. But as you say, Mark, with this score, Chelsea are finishing outside the top 8. Napoli 2, Chelsea 1.
There are a lot of things at the moment that are going Spurs' way. Sporting are losing. Barcelona are losing. We'll get details of those 2 games in a little while. Spurs themselves goalless at the moment in Frankfurt. John Akers.
Lots going for them away from this game. Not a lot going for them in this match in particular. They've hit the post. Odebear with a shot from the edge of the D with his left foot. Hit the inside of the post. Low. Brilliant effort from him. So that was a bit unlucky. And then Xabi Simons had a goal ruled out by the VAR for an offside in the build-up. So they've had their share of misfortune, Spurs, in this one. But right towards the end of the half, Frankfurt had a chance of their own. Hugo Larsson hit the crossbar on a breakaway. So half-time, no goals. Eintracht Frankfurt 0, Spurs 0, but they're 6th in the table as it stands.
Real Madrid going behind to Benfica in that game, and it is 2-1 at half-time there, has a positive effect for Manchester City because it puts City into the top 4. Remember, if you finish in the top 2, you get the home leg second all the way to the semi-finals. Finish 3rd or 4th, you get the home leg second all the way to the quarter-finals. So that's a big goal that Benfica has scored when it comes to City, who are 4th. Liverpool comfortably in 3rd and comfortably ahead on the night. Lee Blakeman.
Routine so far for Liverpool, leading Karabag 2-0. McAllister got the first 15 minutes in, just about forcing a Szoboszlai corner over the line. Wirtz made it 2 from the edge of the area 6 minutes later. Tidy finish from him. Ekatike's put one just wide. Robertson's put one just over. Gakpo and Szoboszlai have gone close as well. In fact, the only thing that's gone wrong for Liverpool is Frimpong went off 2 minutes in with what looked like a groin problem. Liverpool on their way to the win that they need to be sure. Liverpool 2, Karabag 0.
Arsenal are going to finish the group stage with a 100% record. John Southall.
They are. They lead Kairat by 3 goals to one entertaining half. Arsenal 1 up after 2 minutes. Good Gyökeres finish. That lasted 5 minutes. A Calafiore foul and Jorginho equalised from the penalty spot. The second, Kai Havertz, his first start in almost a year, curled a shot into the bottom left corner. It's been good in this first half, Havertz. Gyökeres could have scored a hat-trick. 1 miss from 3 yards out. He will not want to see again. Martinelli tapped in the third, and surely, as you say, top spot is secured, and they are heading for 8 wins from 8. Arsenal 3, Kairat 1.
So Arsenal will be finishing first, Bayern second as things stand. Liverpool and Manchester City 3rd and 4th. Real Madrid are 5th, Spurs 6th, Paris Saint-Germain and Newcastle complete the top 8. Let's focus on the sides currently making a right mess of it this evening. Starting with Barcelona, Maz Farouki.
They really are. Big 45 minutes ahead for them. They need more than the draw to make the top 8 as it stands, and they trail at home by a 1-0 to Copenhagen. The 2 players of the match so far, the 17-year-old up front for the Danish side, Victor Thorfarson, who swept in a lovely through ball for the goal early on, and then Dominik Katarski in the Copenhagen goal has pulled off several impressive saves as Barcelona have peppered his area. The best of the Barca chances, though, a shot from the D from Eric Garcia, which had the keeper beaten, and that ricocheted off the crossbar to safety. Half-time, Barcelona 0, Copenhagen 1.
John Bennett trying to be across everything else. And when we're looking at those sides trying to get into the top 8, Sporting, Inter and Atalanta all not really taking advantage of what's going on ahead of them.
Yeah, and Atletico Madrid as well, being frustrated as well against Bodo Glimt. They took the lead, looked as though they were coasting, but at the moment they're being frustrated. They're in 9th. I think the big losers so far, though, Mark, are Marseille in terms of the race for the playoffs. So they've dropped out of the playoffs. They're 2-0 down against Club Brugge, who've moved up to 22nd. By Leverkusen, one of the big winners so far, 2-0 up against Villarreal. They've moved to 17th, securing their playoff place at the moment. Athletic Club 2, Sporting 1, so Athletic Club securing their playoff place, but Sporting dropping out of the race for the top 8. But at the moment, Marseille look as though they'll be the big losers of the night.
Let me give you all the scores then. I was going to maybe try and give you the ones that you hadn't heard, but I can't remember what you've heard and what you haven't. So here are them all. Ajax 0, Olympiacos 0, Arsenal 3, Kairat 1, Athletic Club 2, Sporting 1, Atletico Madrid 1, Bodo Glimt 1, Barcelona 0, Copenhagen 1, Bayer Leverkusen 2, Villarreal 0, Benfica 2, Real Madrid 1, Borussia Dortmund 0, Inter 0, Club Brugge 2, Marseille 0, Eintracht Frankfurt 0, Spurs 0, Liverpool 2, Karabag 0, Manchester City 2, Galatasaray 0, goalless between Monaco and Juventus. Napoli lead Chelsea 2-1, PSV and Bayern are goalless, Paphos 1, Slavia Prague 1, Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle 1, Union Saint-Gilloise 0, Atalanta 0. Michael Brown at the Etihad, it's going perfectly for Manchester City, not only on the pitch, but out of all the teams that started the day on 13 points, they're the only ones that are winning at the moment.
Long way to go, chappers. We're just having a little look at it. Yes, it's looking good, but do you know, they started Galatasaray putting City under pressure, And then Haaland missed that opportunity with his header into the far corner, and you thought, is it going to be one of those days? The manager questioned him, and then Doku, who was wonderful, 2 assists. He's got off with a slight hamstring, and it doesn't look good, to be honest, but a great ball into him. Haaland, great finish. Ryan Cherky in the middle of the pitch. He's showboated, actually. He got told off from the manager for losing the ball, and then a minute later, straight away, he reacts, puts it in the corner, and it all smiles. So, yes, going well, but City are fragile defensively, we know, so as I would say, a long way to go.
To Leon Osman, who's been watching Napoli against Chelsea, and on the balance of play, you'd say that scoreline is fair, wouldn't you, at the break? 2-1 to the Italians?
Yeah, I would. I think Chelsea started well, deservedly got the lead, albeit from a penalty kick, from a handball. But I just thought they were going to kick on from there, and I thought they'd start showing that early dominance in the rest of the game, and they seem to take a backward step. Napoli started to figure out how Chelsea have set up defensively. We talked about James playing centre-half. He's kind of been a centre-half, he's kind of been a right-back. The kind of times Andre Santos has dropped in to play centre-half, and it took Napoli about 25 minutes to figure out where to run, and now they've started to pick holes in that Chelsea defensive setup. They're running the channels really well. Most of the times that Chelsea attack, they're coming up against quite a stubborn low block, as we call it nowadays. But whenever Napoli attack, everything seems to be a race. Everybody seems to be running back to that Chelsea goal, and it's quite exciting for Napoli, but far too many opportunities given away by Chelsea.
Thank you very much, Leon. Second halves on the way. We'll be back in Paris, where it's Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle 1 at the break. It's exactly 9 o'clock on 5 Live. Richard Foster has the news.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening. President Trump is threatening Iran with military action, saying a massive armada is moving with great power and purpose towards the country. He says Tehran's running out of time to negotiate a deal on their nuclear program. Iran says its armed forces are ready to respond to any aggression. Here's our North America editor, Sarah Smith.
Donald Trump can sense an opportunity to try and topple a much weakened leadership in Iran, but that doesn't mean he's ready to do so. It could get much, much messier if he was going to try and topple Iran's rulers, and it could spread out across the region. That is not the kind of thing he wants to get involved in.
2 federal agents involved in the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty in Minneapolis have been placed on leave. He was a US citizen and was shot and killed on Saturday. The Prime Minister's convinced his trip to China will bring benefits to the UK. He's meeting President Xi tomorrow as part of a 3-day visit. Critics have raised concerns about the country's human rights record. Luke de Pulford is from the Interparliamentary Alliance on China. He told 5 Live the government shouldn't give in to Beijing's demands.
We can't get off on the wrong foot here, making concessions in order to go to China in the way that the Prime Minister has. I think that's the issue. Beijing is treating us like they do other middle powers. You must make concessions in order to come. And if you want economic preferment, then you're going to have to dance to our tune. And I think that's what's going on here, I'm afraid.
A former singer who starred in the Queen-themed musical We Will Rock You has been found guilty of rape and attempted rape. Ross Davidson, who's from North London, was also known for singing with Spandau Ballet in 2018. He'll be sentenced at a later date. The prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann has accepted an offer of a council home in northern Germany. Christian Bruckner had been living in a tent in a forest after being unable to find accommodation since leaving prison last year. And an investigation's underway after a wheel fell off a British Airways plane just after it had taken off from Las Vegas airport. The wheel can be seen falling to the ground in a video on the BBC News website. The Airbus A350 landed safely in London 9 hours later.
Missed a massive moment?
Want to hear that last-minute goal again?
If you're listening on most smart speakers, we've got you covered.
Just say, ask BBC Sounds to rewind 5 minutes.
And relive it all over again.
What a goal! Remind us of that magic phrase again.
Ask BBC Sounds to rewind 5 minutes.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
45 minutes to go then in the league stage of the Champions League this season, and as it stands, all English sides bar Chelsea are in that top 8. Dan Burn, on the monitor that I'm seeing, Chris Sutton, is still talking to the referee about the penalty that they didn't get.
Yeah, I find it remarkable because if they give the penalty at one end for an arm out from the body, it was exactly the same scenario.
Conversation
where,
with Mark Chapman and Chris Sutton will continue over on 5 Live here on BBC Radio Sports Extra 2. We are back focusing our minds on events in Naples at half-time at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. It is Napoli 2, Chelsea 1. The team's re-emerging for the start of the second half. As Mark referenced there, Chelsea, the only English club who've dropped out of the top 8 for now. So there is much work to do for Liam Rossignor's team. They started well tonight, Chelsea, but Napoli reminding us of what an accomplished outfit they are. Vergara making it 1-1 after 33 minutes, and 10 minutes after that, Rasmus Højlund was in to score and to put Napoli in front. Chelsea need something special, so they're bringing on the boy wonder. Cole Palmer replaces Pedro Neto at half-time, Leon.
Yeah, I don't think I'm surprised to see Cole Palmer's introduction. I think Chelsea needs someone with a bit more guile and craft when they get to the edge of that Napoli penalty area, as we discussed at the end of the first half. They're getting there quite easily, and they're not really having enough impetus or enough sort of cutting edge when they get there. So no surprise to see his introduction. Maybe a little surprised that Pedro Neto is the one to leave the field. His pace has actually caused Napoli a few problems at times, yeah, but I think change was needed.
Yeah, absolutely. As play gets back underway, no changes for Napoli over the break. We'll give you a reminder of the teams in full in just a moment. Spurs have started the second half in a perfect fashion. They've gone 1-0 up away at Eintracht Frankfurt. Randall Colomowani has scored for Thomas Frank's team. Frankfurt 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. And Spurs again looking healthy in the Champions League. That would move Spurs up to 4th place of Europeans elite, and when you put that in the context of the Premier League campaign they're having, it really is a Jekyll and Hyde performance for Tottenham Hotspur, depending on which competition you're watching their progress this season. Chelsea in 12th place have work to do. Cole Palmer on. Palmer, who missed the win over Crystal Palace in the Premier League on Sunday due to a thigh injury. It may well be that he's not 100% fit, but Chelsea have to try and gamble here now because they are risking having to go through the playoffs and having an extra 2 games in February that certainly they don't want with an already congested fixture list. Enzo Fernandez goes down, fouled by Giovanni Di Lorenzo, and that is going to be a free kick to Chelsea, taken quickly by Cucurella. So the teams: Alex Mere in goal for Napoli, 3 central defenders. Giovanni Di Lorenzo's the captain. Beside him, Alessandro Buongiorno and Juan Jesus. Juan Jesus, who gave away the penalty and was shown a yellow card for that in the first half. Leonardo Spinazzola is the right wing back. Matheus Oliveira is on the left hand side. In the middle of the midfield, it's Stanislav Lobotka alongside Scott McTominay, and then Antonio Vergara, who scored the first of Napoli's goals tonight, alongside Elif Elmas in attacking midfield positions, and then the centre forward Rasmus Højlund, who has scored his 3rd Champions League goal of the campaign. He's 10th in all competitions this season, and he's the player who has scored the goal that has Napoli in front here. Chelsea's team: Robert Sanchez is the goalkeeper. They started with the same team that played in the Premier League on the weekend against Palace, apart from the 2 central defenders. The back four is Malo Gusto, Reece James and Wesley Fofana playing in those central locations. Cucurella on the left hand side, Caicedo, Santos, Enzo Fernandez in the midfield, with Estevao wide right. Palmer's now come on, and João Pedro the striker through the middle as Chelsea come forward. João Pedro gives it back to Cole Palmer. A little clip on his ankle as he tried to turn there by Elmas. Palmer holds on to possession, rolls it infield to Andre Santos. It's taken off him by Enzo Fernandez. This is midway inside Napoli territory. Whistles and jeers again from the Napoli supporters as Chelsea have possession. Palmer, 15 yards outside the penalty area, slightly right of centre, plays it into a more central location. Andre Santos onto the left-hand side to Cucurella. Antonio Conte dancing along the touchline down below as he tries to order his defenders into the right position. Palmer tries a shot from way outside the penalty area, strikes a defender and comes back to him again. Cole Palmer, just outside the Napoli box, gives a poor pass back behind to Reece James. Chelsea will hold on to possession, but now they've got to retreat, and then one mistake leads to another. Fofana's given it away to the dangerous Vergara. He tries to play it infield to Rasmus Højlund, and Fofana's been able to make a good recovery, but Chelsea nearly shooting themselves in the foot there.
Yeah, again, Chelsea, as you said, causing their own problems. Good possession of the ball. No surprise to see every time there's an opportunity to play a forward pass, Cole Palmer is trying to play it, trying to get him in possession of the ball, but other people around it was Fofana on this occasion, just guilty of being sloppy in possession. Then it's a race towards Chelsea's own goal. On that occasion, he's fortunate that it was a poor pass that ricocheted onto him. He didn't really win the ball back, it was given back to him, and panic over. Chelsea go again.
Here comes João Pedro, rides a couple of tackles, tries to come infield. Oh, he's done really well against Juan Jesus there. Bit of swagger about João Pedro. He then tries to swing a ball over to Malo Gusto on the right-hand side, but that's been intercepted by Mateus Oliveira, and then the whistle blows and the ball had gone out of play. And everything comes to a halt as Liam Rosenior makes a few notes in his notebook. The ball had gone out of play just before Oliveira brought it back in again. That will have been by fractions of millimetres. That was very, very close. But this nature of events with 18 games being played simultaneously has led to a very exciting evening in the Champions League. At the moment it's not going Chelsea's way though, and they still trail here by 2-1.
Yeah, I think the main tactical change that's happened at half-time is Esteval's moved from the right-hand side to the left where Pedro Neto was playing. Cole Palmer's come on, sort of on the right-hand side, but certainly not as wide as Esteval was operating there in the first half. When they get possession of the ball, he's coming central, but Chelsea keeping the ball just as they did in the first half. Cole Palmer in possession, looking for it, but João Pedro is so isolated. Chelsea have so many players behind the ball. When Palmer gets on it, they need people ahead of him. They need people making runs around João Pedro, so he's got options to pass forward, not just always sideways and backwards.
Antonio Conte, who won the Premier League and the FA Cup during his time as Chelsea head coach. The club haven't won either of those two competitions since he's left. Last time Antonio Conte came up against Chelsea was almost 3 years ago now. That was when he was Spurs coach, and he beat Chelsea in that most recent meeting. And for the moment, Conte's Napoli leading Chelsea by 2-1 with 50 minutes now on the clock, 5 minutes having elapsed of this second half already. Oliveira, who set up the assist for the Vergara goal, tries to keep the ball in play, but it's gone out. And that's going to be a throw into Chelsea right-hand side of the pitch for them. Caicedo gives it back to Reece James. This is Wesley Fofana. Sucks low down along the back of his calves. Infield to Andre Santos. Slightly soft pass to Enzo Fernandez. He's got to react quickly to get there first. Chelsea have got to scamper backwards. Sanchez, the goalkeeper, gives it to Fofana once again, and here's Reece James on the right-hand side. Short pass infield to Caicedo. Napoli working hard out of possession, making it difficult for Chelsea to play their way out of their final third. Reece James over to the right wing. Malo Gusto now over the halfway line come Chelsea. João Pedro tries to return it to Malo Gusto. Cole Palmer will pick up possession just inside his own half, rolls it infield again to Fofana. Napoli have got the lead on a night where they need to win to have a chance of getting into the knockout phases which Chelsea are hoping to avoid themselves. But for Napoli, as things stand at the moment, it's good enough for them. They would be moving up into the unseeded positions of the knockout phases. They'd be up to 19th position. Anywhere between 17 and 24 gives you an unseeded place in the knockout phase. So that is the requirement, best they could hope for tonight, Napoli. So it's going their way so far. And Chelsea, who've fluctuated between being inside the top 8 and out of it a couple of times now, hoping that they'll get a chance to bounce back up into those automatic positions once again, as Andre Santos' pass goes all the way back to the goalkeeper Robert Sanchez, wearing bright yellow away to our right-hand side. Chelsea playing from right to left in this second half as we look down, wearing their change kit, all black tonight for the Premier League team. The captain, Reece James, who was involved in the winning of the penalty in the first half. It was a Reece James free kick that led to the handball by Juan Jesus. Chelsea here, a lot of possession, Leon, but it's all inside their own final third at the moment.
Yeah, nice movement, moving it round really well. Good sort of passages of play, not really going anywhere at the moment, but you have to remember that Napoli are ahead. As it stands, they've got the result that they want. They won't really feel they have to come out and charge around as much as they did in that first half to get them ahead when they were really pressurising Chelsea. The onus is now on Chelsea to just speed the tempo up, get forward a bit quicker, not necessarily pass for passing's sake, take opportunities to play forward when they come. I just still think at the moment they're just being quite passive, Chelsea.
Biongiorno comes over the halfway line. Oh, that's nicely worked as he plays a 1-2, and the big burly central defender's in a crossing position left hand side, plays it into Rasmus Højlund. First time layoff to Oliveira, back to Højlund again. Lobotka now gets involved. There is a newfound confidence about Napoli since they've taken the lead in this game. They're taking chances, and more often than not, the little manoeuvres that they are attempting are coming off. Little Lobotka has it again, the Slovakian. Gives it to his left-hand side. Little drag back by Biongiorno. He's got Scott McTominay available behind him. Scott McTominay plays a very simple pass back to Juan Jesus, and Napoli just frustrating Chelsea a little bit at the moment, holding onto possession before it's played back by Di Lorenzo all the way back to Alex Mere once again. Antonio Conte, who hasn't made any changes. He doesn't have many options on the bench. Miguel Gutierrez, the Spanish defender, Romelu Lukaku and Sam Bukeme, a Dutchman. They're his only senior players. Otherwise, it's very much untested kids and teenagers on the bench. Højlund holds it up. I'm sure we'll see Lukaku at some stage tonight, but he probably won't want to bring him on too early. A player who only made his comeback from injury at the weekend. Hadn't played all season, Romelu Lukaku, since being injured in pre-season back in July. This is Juan Jesus at the back for Napoli. Rolls it to Di Lorenzo on the right-hand side. Chelsea trailing 2-1 on BBC Radio's Sports Extra 2. As Højlund fails to hold it up this time, and the ball goes out for a Chelsea throw. Leon Osman.
Yeah, there's 54 minutes gone. Plenty left in this game for Chelsea to get certainly back into it, maybe even get ahead. That's what they're really desperate for. But they just need to make sure that they don't let this game drift too far, certainly for time, but also being passive, allowing Napoli to have good spells of possession. When Napoli are actually looking to play forward a lot into Rasmus Højlund's feet and follow the pass as well. You just sound and feel more excited when Napoli get the ball at the moment. Chelsea just need to make sure that the game doesn't get away from in the next 15-20 minutes or so.
In terms of the English clubs at the moment, Chelsea trailing 2-1. Arsenal still 3-1 in front at home in the Champions League tonight. Liverpool 3-0 in front against Qarabağ. Manchester City 2-0 in front against Galatasaray. And Newcastle, who trailed in Paris 1-1 as they were at half-time against Champions League holders Paris Saint-Germain. But goals coming in from elsewhere. It's Mo Salah, by the way, who got the third goal for Liverpool at Anfield. That'll be a big moment for him. Pafos have got the lead at home against Slavia Prague. Pafos 2, Slavia Prague 1, and Olympiacos have taken the lead against Ajax. Ajax who did score a goal earlier, but it was disallowed. It is Ajax 0, Olympiacos 1. The top 8 in the table. Arsenal and Bayern Munich were already going through. Liverpool in third place, Spurs 4th, Manchester City 5th. Then it's Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain and Newcastle. Newcastle at the moment occupying the final 8th automatic qualifying position. Below them, Barcelona, who have got back on level terms against Copenhagen. As Barcelona 1, Copenhagen 1. At the moment, that wouldn't be enough to put the Catalans into the automatic qualifying places, but they're right up on the coattails of it. Barcelona in 9th, behind them Atletico Madrid, then Atlanta, then Inter, and then Chelsea. Chelsea down in 13th place at the moment as João Pedro tries to come forward. Spinazzola nips in and makes the interception, and then calmly rolled back by Oliveira to the goalkeeper Meret. And Napoli are making it as difficult as they can at the moment for Chelsea with 12 minutes played in the second half. Long ball played forward towards Rasmus Højlund. Vergara tries to nip in, but it's played by Fofana back to the goalkeeper Robert Sanchez. Still Napoli 2, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, when Chelsea have the ball, Napoli are making it difficult to play through. They're not pressurising as much as they did in the first half, but they're trying to make those passing lanes non-existent really for Chelsea. So when they eventually do show that patience that they have and play forward, lovely ball into the feet of João Pedro, got to, you can't be sloppy in those moments. He tried to run forward, he sort of tripped over the ball, gave it away. You just feel that 3 or 4 minutes that they've spent trying to create that moment was just wasted by a little bit of lack of concentration, a little bit of sloppiness. When they're behind at this stage, that's when they have to be a bit more assertive and assured when those chances come.
Napoli 2, Chelsea 1. Free kick to the home side for the forward Antonio Vergara. This is his 11th appearance in all competitions this season. Vergara, he's far from a regular, but he's proven to be a very important asset for Antonio Conte tonight in this sort of a game, which is end-to-end, which is flowing. He's just a little bit different. He offers a skill set which is something of a throwback. Actually feels like a player from a different age, does Vergara. Did brilliantly to score his goal in the first half as Napoli come forward, attacking down the left-hand side. Højlund waiting patiently in the centre. Malo Gusto's doing his best here to hold up Elmas. No room for Elmas to cross there. McTominay with the yellow boots gets involved with a touch, gives it back to Elmas again, hugging the touchline on the left-hand side for Napoli. Back into the midfield once more for Scott McTominay, and he'll roll it back into the centre circle to Juan Jesus. Chelsea are getting ready to make a change. Jamie Gittins is stripped and ready to come on. Napoli have possession. Good idea for a pass from Vergara, but it's just too far in front of Elmas. On the groans on the crowd as it goes out for a Chelsea free kick. So Lee Rosenior is going to make a double change. Gittins is going to come on, and Trevoh Chalobah too. So Gittins and Chalobah on for Chelsea, who need ideally 2 goals here. A draw would not be enough at the moment. Napoli 2, Chelsea 1, as Andre Santos is the first to makes way, and Malo Gusto will be the other one. So Gusto and Santos off, and it is Gittins and Chalobah who come on for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think that would make you feel Chelsea are going to go back to quite an expected back four in that moment. Chalobah goes centrally alongside Fofana. Reece James go back into that right back area. Gittins will obviously give a little bit more width than they've seen in the first 58. Well, certainly since the start of the second half, Chelsea have been quite narrow. I think Rasmus Højlund has just found it far too easy. He's played up front pretty much just against Fofana, and they've had the opportunity just to roll the ball into his feet. And Fofana, because he's back 1v1 in those situations, hasn't really been able to get in front and win the ball. He's always had to be aware that the ball could be played in behind, and I don't think Højlund's had an easier night against English opposition than this so far.
Sanchez in possession for Chelsea, who trailed 2-1 in Naples, and his clearance goes straight out of play. Cheer from the home crowd. He's a bit upset with himself there, Robert Sanchez, that he didn't do better with that clearance. And so Gittins is on, hoping that he can provide a little bit of firepower. He's done well assisting goals in this competition this season, Jamie Gittins. 5 assists for Chelsea. Only Reece James has had more, as Chalobah here shepherds the ball back to the goalkeeper Sanchez. Thumbs up from Højlund. He appreciates the type of pass that was played towards him there, even if it didn't find its intended target. We've almost reached the hour mark. Chelsea in possession, needing 2 goals now. Gittins on the left wing, tries to come in field of Vergara, who makes the tackle. Ball goes out of play for a Chelsea throw.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting now. That back five of Napoli, 2 wing backs who've, for the majority of the first hour, probably been on the front foot attacking more than they've had to really defend. But Gittins really wide, Esteban, Cole Palmer, Reece James is already really high and really wide. You'd expect Chelsea to have a lot more possession of the ball, be quite set up well defensively, balance-wise, so I'm expecting them to see push that back five of Napoli backwards.
Movement on the table. Barcelona, who were trailing 1-0 at home against Copenhagen, have turned that around to lead 2-1 as João Pedro comes in the attack here. Gotcha! Oh, it's a scorching goal! He's well outside the penalty area. He smacks it with his left boot. An equaliser for Chelsea from the very top drawer from João Pedro. It's his 10th goal of the season, and he's taken that beautifully. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2. Liam Rosenior's team are back in business.
Well, what a goal, what a finish. Had no right to score on his left foot from that distance, and no surprise to see that the move involved Esteban, Cole Palmer linking up. Cole Palmer with a clever little ball into the feet of João Pedro, but he was running towards the channel down one side of the pitch. He flicked it with his right foot and he spun nearly 360 over his right shoulder to just create the space on the edge of the D. And once the space opened, it looked like he was going to pass it. He just had one extra touch to get it out of his feet. Maybe that's what put the defenders and the goalkeeper up. He looked like he was going to pass it, but in that moment changed his mind and hit it superbly well. Just seeing Antonio Conte's face, he can't believe it. Liam Rosenior, hands in the air, he's delighted. Chelsea back level. This game is very much back on for them.
Right, so the good news for Chelsea is they move back up to 10th place. Still not in the top 8 where they want to be, but this is an important step closer. The bad news for Napoli is that it pushes them down, and at the moment Napoli are going to be eliminated if this game finishes in a draw. Liverpool are banging in the goals at Anfield. Another for Alexis McAllister. They lead Qarabağ by 5-0. At the moment, Newcastle and Chelsea would be going to the knockout phase and facing 2 games in February to stay in the Champions League. They're missing out on a top 8 place as it stands, the pair of them. But Liverpool, Spurs and Manchester City all going through at the moment because of the leads that they hold. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2, with 28 minutes of normal time to play in southern Italy. And possession with Giovanni Di Lorenzo. This is going to be tense. I think this is going to be really entertaining, Leon. Napoli have to go for it now, and Chelsea have to go for it now.
Oh, we should be in for a brilliant last half an hour of the game because of permutation. We've now got Napoli bursting forward
with Buongiorno, and his cross falls for Højlund, who tried to tee himself up for a volley, but it goes away off target. Difficult technique to try and do that, to flick it up on one foot and smack in a shot with the other, and that goes wide to the target, and it's still 2-2.
Well, look, it's only been, I think, 4 minutes, and there's been a goal within that 4 minutes, but I just feel that change has just brought Chelsea a bit better balance. Yes, I think Gittins is going to be asked to be, doing an awful lot of work down that left-hand side. He's going to play like a winger who has to follow the wing-back, man-mark him defensively, but that will allow Chelsea much better balance. We saw Cole Palmer and Esteban linking up both of them able to play forward passes when they got the ball. That's what you need. You know, you need those special players with imagination, but when they look up, there's somebody forward to play to. Already, I think João Pedro's had more touches in the last 4 minutes or so than he did in the previous hour.
So just to confirm the situation here, Chelsea drawing and outside the top 8. Ideally, they want to go in front here to get back into those automatic qualification spots. The only other thing that could help them in the current situation is if one of the other teams dropped out of it. The trouble is, Paris Saint-Germain up there, if they were to suddenly start losing against Newcastle, that would only lead to a little reversal. It was Newcastle who would go above them. It wouldn't be Chelsea who would benefit for it. And at the moment, Chelsea look like they might have to do it themselves here with 26 minutes to play. This is Lobotka. Middle of the midfield for Napoli, playing from left to right as we look down in the sky blue shirt. Still Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle 1. Newcastle who've come from behind in that game. Chelsea here who've been in front, they've been behind, and now they're back level once again. Reece James in possession, the Chelsea captain, gives a short ball to Moise Caicedo. Another little exchange of passes with Enzo Fernandez, back to Fofana. Napoli have been very good at pressing Chelsea tonight and making it difficult for the visitors to comfortably work their way up to the halfway line. Here is Marc Cucurella on the left-hand side, gives it infield to Enzo Fernandez. Enzo, who's now playing in a deeper role since Andre Santos has gone off and Gittins came on to replace him. Napoli win it back in the midfield. João Pedro tries to recover possession for Chelsea, and he's done really well. Clément Turpin, the French referee, says play on, despite the fact that João Pedro challenged for that while he was lying on the ground. Referee deemed it to be a fair challenge. Enzo Fernandez gives it to João Pedro. Brilliant goal from João Pedro for Chelsea in this second half on BBC Sports Extra 2. Fofana to Cole Palmer, who came on as a half-time substitute. And again, the Napoli press is keeping Chelsea at bay here and forcing them back to the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's as intense at the moment. I think Chelsea are still quite comfortable. The passes they're making are at their own tempo, despite being a bit of a press. Scott McTominay is the one probably putting the most of any kind of press on from anybody in Napoli. It's a little bit more timid, and Chelsea are just finding it easier to play through. And then they've got people in much better positions, better balance at the moment.
Here's an opportunity now. Cucurella midway inside Napoli territory, gives it to Jamie Gittins. Gittins running at Spinazzola, comes in field. He's now got Lobotka to deal with as well. Gives it back to Reece James. This is midway into Napoli territory now. Central location. Cole Palmer on the ball. Estevao available out to the right-hand side. Relatively quiet game from Estevao so far tonight, but he's still on the pitch and there's still the opportunity for him to create a dazzling moment. Good ball from Cole Palmer, finds Enzo Fernandez in a bit of space here. He tries the shot from distance, just needed an extra instant to get that shot away, and it was difficult with defenders bearing down upon him, and that goes well up over the crossbar, and it remains 2-2 for now.
Just the wrong option, really. Had an opportunity to play that ball wide. They just got Napoli a little bit stretched. Even the wing backs were out of position. If he could have just picked his head up and played left, Chelsea had an overload. Could have made more of that. Just seeing the replay of Pedro's goal again. What a finish. Keeper had absolutely no chance. It doesn't go right in the top of the goal, but it certainly goes in with power. Keeper at full stretch, couldn't get near it.
2-2 Napoli against Chelsea. Gutierrez has come on, the Spanish defender, in place of Juan Jesus. That might mean that they'll switch to a back four now to try and get forward and get the goal that they so desperately need, Napoli. I have to bring you up to date with events in Lisbon. So Benfica, who went 3-1 up on Real Madrid, and then 4 minutes later Kylian Mbappe scored another goal in the game. So it's now Benfica 3, Real Madrid 2, and we were listening to Mark Chapman speaking with John Bennett before the game, and John said that our colleague Rory Smith tipped. He said Benfica were going to win that game tonight, and they were sort of laughing at that prediction. Well, Benfica are leading Real Madrid 3-2, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rory Smith knows his onions.
He does, frustratingly at times, I've got to be honest, frustratingly, but yeah, I mean, he obviously tipped Karabakh at the start of the season, didn't he, when no one else really spoke about them. It's a night for Benfica this evening.
Yeah, mind you, that one didn't work out quite as good, did it, in terms of the predictions, but Karabakh at the moment would be going through to the knockout phases as an unseeded team, and I guess at the start of the season that would have been deemed to be a surprise, but Real Madrid trailing tonight, that's a big surprise. Madrid, who, as things stand, would be inside the top 8 positions, but a little bit more perilous than it appeared for them at the start of the night. Here's Enzo Fernandez, 10 yards outside his own penalty area. He gives it back to Wesley Fofana. The clock is ticking on. We're now midway through the second half. Quarter of this match remaining. Trevoh Chalobah at the back for Chelsea, rolls it into the midfield from Moise Caicedo. It's a game that's been played at a very high tempo tonight, and this could all come down to who finishes the stronger, who's able to keep going all the way through to the 90 minutes and beyond the stoppage time in this game. Enzo Fernandez, who scored Chelsea's first goal of the night from the penalty spot, rolls it back to Robert Sanchez once again. And this is Cole Palmer now, still midway inside his own half, giving it back to Wesley Fofana. And although Chelsea aren't advancing here, they will be frustrating Napoli as Højlund has to sprint across to try and put pressure on. And Chelsea still in possession with Jamie Gittins on the left-hand side. Lunging in on him is Vergara. Napoli get it back. Big roar from their fans. Vergara, who loves a little pirouette, spins away from Cucurella. That's brilliant. Now Spinazzola into the penalty area, tries to tee it up for Højlund. And Chalobah makes a really important block, and he puts it out for a corner. That was dangerous. Napoli could have taken the lead.
Yes, they could. That's good positioning from Chalobah with Højlund breathing down his neck, and that was nearly Chelsea's own doing. Just got into that phase. They've done it a few times where they think it's too easy, they get a little bit lethargic and sloppy. Napoli just step the pressure up as they have to do now, nearly pounced.
Here comes the corner, played in by Vergara, really good delivery. It's pinball on the edge of the 6-yard box. Cucurella tries to nod it away. Lobotka back into the penalty area. Oliveira tries to swivel with the ball, but he can't bring it with him. And Chelsea are relieved as the ball is cleared away, and it's back into the Napoli half. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2. At the moment, Chelsea not achieving their objective for the evening. They'll be going into the playoffs to see if they can reach the last 16. There's a hold-up in play here as the referee runs down into the Chelsea penalty area, and there's a Napoli player who is down on the ground. This is Scott McTominay, who I think was struck in that melee on the edge of the 6-yard box as the corner came in a moment ago. So a break in play in Naples. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2. Elsewhere tonight on this final night of the league phase, Atletico Madrid are now trailing at home to Bodo Glimt. Atletico Madrid 1, Bodo Glimt 2. That's good news for the English teams because Atletico Madrid are one of their rivals tonight. Ajax have got back on level terms at home against Olympiacos. Barcelona now 3-1 in front against Copenhagen. Barcelona back up into the top 5 of the table and going straight through to the round of 16. So here's the scenario as things stand. Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City are going straight through as one of the top 8 finishers. That's their objective they wanted at the start of the evening. Only Arsenal knew that they were definitely going there. Newcastle at the moment trailing 1-1 away at Paris Saint-Germain, having come from behind, but it wouldn't be enough the way things stand. Newcastle are outside of the automatic qualifying spots. They'll be going to the knockouts. Chelsea will be going to the knockouts as things stand as well. So Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs and Manchester City in the top 8, and Newcastle and Chelsea not in the top 8, but very close. Newcastle are 9th, Chelsea are 10th. One goal for either of them can dramatically change things and propel them where they want to be. This is Estevao near the centre circle for Chelsea. 19 minutes of this game remaining. Enzo Fernandez near the centre circle. Drags the ball away from Scott McTominay, who's still running, sort of gingerly rubbing the lower part of his body and clearly still feeling the effects of that blow that he took a few moments ago. Enzo Fernandez back out to Cole Palmer, still on the halfway line for Chelsea, and then back again to Wesley Fofana. The urgency for Napoli is greater than the urgency for Chelsea. Okay, the bad news for Chelsea is a playoff, but at least they'd still be in the Champions League. As things stand, Leon, Napoli would be about to be eliminated.
Yeah, and as the game carries on and the clock ticks away, I think you're going to start seeing a little bit more pressure. And I do think it's slightly tired pressure now from Napoli, but they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to keep pressing this Chelsea team, winning the ball back. And then if Chelsea can just be assured in their passing, make sure that they spot opportunities and be brave, play forward, play through that press, then the chance will come to try and get this winner.
Chelsea are about to make another change. They're about to bring on Alejandro Garnacho. Chelsea who are in possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Garnacho has scored 1 goal in the Champions League this season. He scored against Karabag in November, one of 6 goals that he scored for Chelsea in all competitions. Reece James, nice ball up to João Pedro over the halfway line. Nice ball onto Estevao, but 2 defenders around him. And Napoli regain possession, and it's rolled back to Alex Meret once again. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2 on BBC Radio Sports Extra 2. As Napoli come forward on the left-hand side with Elmas. He plays it back into his own half to Gutierrez, the substitute who came on, who's made a mistake here. He's given it to João Pedro. Estevao, edge of the D, tries to wriggle into a shooting position. Good defending from Bianchiano, and he gets a free kick for his team too. And Estevao trying to get the shot away, committed the foul. Free kick to Napoli on the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, big opportunity. It's not been his night really, Estevao. Just not found those spaces, those moments, those little opportunities just haven't really gone his way. Chelsea pressed actually high, won the ball back themselves, and from that moment, João Pedro just played it into Estevao. no surprise to see, as Chelsea making that substitution, that he's the one coming off the pitch.
Yes, that attempted shot from Estevao, his final action. So the teenager departs, and on comes Alejandro Garnacho, who scored twice against Arsenal in the EFL Cup semi-final first leg midway through January. Chelsea are coming on the attack here with Cole Palmer. Now Enzo Fernandez just outside the box, no room to get the shot away, though. Good work again from Vergara, and there's a player down inside the penalty area. I think it might be Lobotka as play continues, but there's a Napoli player down, so the referee Clement Turpin blows his whistle and brings play to a halt. Just over a quarter of an hour of normal time to play, and a yellow card here is going to be shown. Is it to
Elmas for the challenge on Reece James? Yeah. And once he played that forward pass, Reece James got Chelsea into a good position. Cole Palmer with João Pedro on one side, Garnacho and Esther. I think it was Caicedo the other side. Anyway, they 4 on 3 in that moment, and they played it to the left, and it was Enzo Fernandez as the ball come in, so he just didn't pass it on one more for the second time in this half. Chelsea, good opportunity, ball comes his way, instead of just continuing it, letting it go one more to his left, opportunity opening up for him, just turned back into trouble, into the numbers that Napoli had on the recovery, and another chance just allowed to slip away for Chelsea.
It's an exciting night on the final evening of the Champions League phase. And if you're just joining our coverage here on BBC Radio Sports Extra 2, there's a delay in play. Giovanni Di Lorenzo, the Napoli captain, is down into the penalty area getting treatment at the moment, but this game in which Chelsea took the lead, and Enzo Fernandez penalty in the first half, equalised by a brilliant individual goal from Vergara. Napoli took the lead ahead of the break. Rasmus Højlund on loan from Manchester United, making it Napoli 2, Chelsea 1. But in the second half, a wonderful goal from João Pedro has levelled things up again. But at the moment, neither of these teams would be achieving the objective that they set out for at the start of the night. Napoli, who would be about to be eliminated from the Champions League if it stays like this, and Chelsea are going to have to go through the stress and strain of a playoff, 2 games in February, if things don't change in their favour here. There's still time, and there is still the prospect of Lukaku to come off the bench for Napoli, which surely must be in the back of the mind of Antonio Conte at the moment in this circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. But having played with Romelu Lukaku, I think he doesn't like to warm up an awful lot, and he'll have wasted an awful lot of energy running up and down that touchline. He looks keen to get on the pitch, but the big question for Chelsea is, do they go in search of this now, or do they allow Napoli, who they know have to try and throw everything at them, do they allow Napoli to step onto them, to overexpose themselves, leave opportunities on the counter-attack to then go in search of it? It's a dilemma Chelsea are probably going to have to weigh up in terms of which is their best chance of scoring the winner.
Right, play back underway. Di Lorenzo is going to be okay to continue, but he'll just have to stay off the pitch for a moment now. So temporarily Chelsea are playing against 10 men here. 14 minutes to play. Di Lorenzo waiting to be invited back onto the pitch. Spurs have now doubled their lead away at Eintracht Frankfurt. Eintracht Frankfurt nil, Tottenham Hotspur 2. It's amazing the difference between Spurs when they play in the Champions League this season and when they play in the Premier League. I mean, Spurs, as it stands, are going to finish 4th in this league table, 4th of the elite clubs in Europe, which makes no sense when you then compare it with their Premier League position and hovering just above the relegation zone, as Enzo Fernandez spins away really impressively from Lobotka there, and Chelsea have got it inside the Napoli half. Napoli 2, Chelsea 2.
He said, the top 4 in this Champions League qualification get home ties all the way through to the quarter-finals. Well, by Premier League performances, I'm not sure Spurs are delighted to be playing, would be delighted to be claiming that home tie second, but you're right, their European performances is night and day. Last 2 seasons, in fact, not just this season.
Probably what's keeping Thomas Frank in a job at the moment is how good they've been in the Champions League. That's the green shoots for Chelsea, as Napoli cover the attack here down the left-hand side with Miguel Gutierrez, and his attempted cross is blocked by Fofana. Goes out for a throw into Napoli, which they take quickly. Time is flying by, 12.5 minutes left to play. PSV Eindhoven 1, Bayern Munich 1. That's an equaliser for PSV. As things stand, Arsenal are going to win this league phase table by 5 points, which just shows the dominance from Mikel Arteta's team this season. They are top of the table on 24. Bayern Munich at the moment level against PSV Eindhoven would finish on 19 points, so it's a 5-point advantage for Arsenal. Still 1-1 in Paris Saint-Germain against Newcastle, still 2-2 in Naples, Napoli against Chelsea, and that's where the jeopardy lies at the moment for the English clubs. Newcastle in 9th, Chelsea in 10th. They both want to get into the top 8. They both need a goal, and one goal could do it for them. Offside flag is raised here against Rasmus Højlund, and Chelsea take the free kick quickly. This is Garnacho with the bleach blonde hair and the number 49 on his bag, white boots, coming forward down the left-hand side. Lukaku's just took off his tracksuit top, and you can hear the roar of approval from the crowd in the background. Nutmeg by João Pedro, put it through the legs of Oliveira, but wasn't able to pick out a teammate at the other side. Napoli regained possession, back to Alex Meret, and his clearance, left-footed, is going to go up to the halfway line, met by the forehead of Wesley Fofana, and now Caicedo gets it down on the deck and rolls for Cucurella on the left-hand side. Chelsea in possession. Gittins gives it back to Cucurella, back to Jamie Gittins once again, tries a little run down the left wing. Be interesting to see who departs the field to allow the introduction of Lukaku. Højlund has put in a lot of hard running, but will they want to play both number 9s up top together in this circumstance where Napoli need a goal or they're going out of the Champions League? And Antonio Conte, great success in the Champions League as a player. He won the competition with Juventus back in the 80s. I think 3 times he got to finals. But as a manager, despite all the success that Antonio Conte's had, he's never got beyond the quarter-finals of the Champions League. And at the moment, Leon, he's just over 10 minutes away from elimination in the group phase here.
Yeah, and he'll point to a number of injuries if that is the case, but there is still time. Interesting to see how aggressive he's going to be with this substitution you just mentioned. Will he be like-for-like replacement with regards to Lukaku and Højlund, or will you take a defender off or a midfielder off and go with extra bodies up front in search of this goal?
Højlund's looking tired at the moment. I mean, he's a much younger man than Lukaku, but he's running rather laboriously on an evening when Napoli have pressed constantly. It's not just on the attack that Højlund's had to work. Anytime Chelsea have been coming out from the back, he's been charging in, trying to close them down. As an attempted attack down the right-hand side, Vergara up against Cucurella, and they're both arguing that the decision should go their way. Both players seem to be unhappy here as the referee blows the whistle. Cucurella just about got there first and went down, and the free kick is going to be for Chelsea.
I talked about earlier, defenders just about getting there first, whether there's contact or not, happy to go to ground, hoping that the referee gives the decision. Cucurella did that. The assistant referee right in front of him never gave a thing. The referee from 30 yards away gave a free kick.
Here comes Reece James. Good charge over the halfway line on the right-hand side. Garnacho looks to be offside as the pass is played to him. No flag yet. Garnacho into the penalty area, tries to roll it back for a teammate, and the flag does belatedly rise, and I think that was always likely to be the case as soon as Garnacho received the pass there. There's been a bit of a shudder in the table. Still 1-1 between Paris Saint-Germain and Newcastle, but goals elsewhere have propelled Inter up into the top 8. Borussia Dortmund 0, Inter 1. Di Marco has scored there, so Inter Milan will be moving into the automatic qualifying spots and pushing Paris Saint-Germain down to 9th place for now. Newcastle in 10th. Chelsea, who we're watching here, are in 11th, and both Newcastle and Chelsea, as things stand, settling for a playoff position for the moment. Right, we've got our answer to who's coming off to allow on Lukaku. It's a brave attacking move. Spinazzola makes way. Lukaku's come on, and Bukema has entered the field as well, the Dutchman. So a double change there from Antonio Conte. Elmas and Spinazzola are the two who've been replaced. So it's Lukaku and Højlund in the attack as Antonio Conte's team need a goal. But now they've got to defend. 2-1-2. This is João Pedro. Garnacho's infield of him. João Pedro goes for goal himself, and he scores. And it's his second of the night. It's Chelsea's third, and they have the lead with 8 minutes to play. Napoli 2, Chelsea 3. Could that be the goal that puts Chelsea automatically into the knockout stages of the Champions League? Napoli 2, Chelsea 3. Brilliant from João Pedro.
Oh, he scored one brilliant goal earlier with his left foot. This one wasn't as good a strike, but it was just as good a goal from a striker's point of view, and it could be even more important. Chelsea just react better than Napoli did. Just made the substitution. Maybe they still haven't got their system right, just the adaptation to what they're doing, but they win it back, Chelsea, in their own penalty area, literally right on the end. Fofana, lovely tackle, and they just play it forward. Wonderful pass into João Pedro. He just lays it off to Cole Palmer and spins into the channel. Cole Palmer, as you'd expect, good touch, plays it into the channel for him to get after, and then he's kind of 1v1 with the left centre half. He's looking to his left. He had Garnacho up alongside him, but no one in the middle. But Garnacho's run was pretty poor. I was watching thinking, give him something, either run away from him or run the channel. João Pedro took a look at him, thought, I'm going to have to do this myself. And did he ever? dropped his shoulder, went to his right, hit it hard and low to his left. Keeper no chance. Brilliant goal from him.
So much of the elite game is about decision making. João Pedro made the right call there. Yes, Garnacho was more central, but he had two players near him, and João Pedro realised that he had a one-on-one with Buquema, who's only just come on. It was the right decision from the Brazilian, and he tucked it into the bottom corner. So it is Napoli 2, Chelsea 3. The Chelsea goals from Enzo Fernandez from the penalty spot in the first half, and now 2 in the second period from João Pedro, and that catapults Chelsea forward from languishing in 11th, now suddenly up to the top 6 now. Chelsea in 6th position and going through to the last 16 tonight. Napoli are going to be eliminated unless they score 2 goals now. 1 would not be enough for Antonio Conte's team. Here comes Scott McTominay coming forward. Left-hand side of the penalty area, lashes one in. That's trying too hard in these circumstances. Nowhere near a teammate, and it just gives possession back to Chelsea once again.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's only 6 minutes left, and they may find a bit of energy here. Napoli might be enough to get 1 goal back, maybe even 2, but they just look drained at the moment. They just look, let's just took the edge off their night. They knew they had enough time to get a goal, maybe get a winner. Now with that going in, knowing it's 2, you can just see it in the body language of most of these players, just seeing pictures of the substitutes bench and the disappointment and frustration that João Pedro's second goal has brought to this stadium.
Second goal came just after Napoli had made the changes and little shift of formation, playing the 2 up top because they needed a goal, and maybe they weren't properly set. It did seem a mismatch as Chelsea came on the counter-attack and had 2-on-1 in the build-up there. But Antonio Conte knew he had to go for it tonight. You've got to credit Liam Rosenior for the way that he's tactically gone about his business this evening. It's been an impressive performance from Chelsea. They've had to ride the storm. It certainly hasn't been easy. They've been ahead in the game twice, they've been behind, it's been level for long periods, but Chelsea 3-2 in front. And if it stays like this, Liam Rosenior becomes the first English head coach ever to win his first 2 games in the Champions League. Down goes Cole Palmer on the far side, and that is going to be a free kick to Chelsea, fouled by Miguel Gutierrez. So Harry Kane has scored for Bayern Munich. They're up in second place, now up to within 3 points of Arsenal at the top of the table. Barcelona have scored again, a 4th goal of the evening for the Catalans. Barcelona 4, Copenhagen 1. They are inside the top 8. Barcelona will be in 5th place at the moment. But in terms of the English interest, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea and Manchester City all going through automatically into the last 16. The other teams join them: Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Real Madrid. And at the moment, going into the playoffs as a seeded team, so these teams won't get to play against each other: Inter, Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle, Sporting, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Atalanta and Leverkusen. And just in terms of the teams that are going to lose out tonight, Benfica are going out, Athletic Bilbao, PSV Eindhoven and Napoli, who we're watching here. Here come Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez rides a couple of challenges, gets to the edge of the penalty area, little back heel out to Jamie Gittins. Gittins inside the box, back to Enzo Fernandez, back to Gittins once again. Chelsea would love the 4th goal here that would really put the game to bed with 4 minutes to play. Napoli chasing shadows at the moment. A whir of short-range passing from Chelsea is very impressive here on the edge of the Napoli penalty area. And then Gittins rolls it back to Chalobah near the halfway line, and now Fofana. And Liam Rosenior's Chelsea have got Napoli right where they want them at the moment, Leon.
Yeah, that's all they need at the moment, as long as they don't slip into those short spells of sloppiness that sometimes in this game just accompanied those long spells of possession. They need to keep the ball, they need to do it sharp, they need to do it preferably in Napoli's half of the pitch. Just don't do anything silly, don't give anything away cheaply at this stage.
Chelsea scoring 3 tonight in the Champions League. They scored 3 in November against Barcelona. They're going through. Club World Cup champions, of course, Europa Conference League champions from last season. Could Chelsea go all the way in the Champions League this campaign? Cole Palmer goes down, holding his ankle. He claims he's been fouled. Referee says no. Play on. Napoli will play on. McTominay gives it up to Højlund. Then Fofana goes drilling into the back of him, and that's going to be a yellow card for Fofana. He's pointing towards Cole Palmer. He's clearly frustrated. He thought his teammate should have had a free kick a moment ago, but Fofana's retribution there has only seen him pick up a yellow.
Yeah, silly one really. A lunge and a kick out, as you said, frustration. Whether Cole Palmer was fouled or not, I think the referee's been consistent. I don't think he's given any free kicks for that kind of contact. I think the slight frustration for Chelsea, maybe even for Fofana there, as captain Reece James. Cole Palmer's got it up near the corner of the penalty area. It's 88 minutes gone, you're winning 3-2. And Reece James, who does look tired, starts to do an overlap from really deep, a 60-yard overlap, leaves himself in a bad position. That's why Fofana made the challenge.
Lukaku gives possession away, tried to chest it down for a teammate. Chelsea will come on the counter-attack. 90 seconds of the 90 minutes remain. Garnacho gets to the edge of the penalty area. João Pedro, who's on a hat-trick now, after he's 2 goals in this second half. But this is sensible from Chelsea. They're winding down the clock. They're drawing in the fouls. The latest to bite is Alessandro Buongiorno. He comes crunching into João Pedro. Free kick to Chelsea, which is exactly what they wanted there. And Liam Rosenior's team are almost there.
Yeah, and I'm just seeing Rosenior just saying basically to his back four, stay in position. He's pointing to his fullbacks. He doesn't want them going on lung-bursting runs at this stage. Allow the players in front of you to do that. Allow João Pedro to do what he's just done in that moment. Very frustrated. Buongiorno just barging into him. João Pedro just happy to take the free kick. Allow time to tick away. Chelsea have the ball comfortably in Napoli's half.
Change coming here for Chelsea. This is an interesting one because Jamie Gittins is going to be replaced. Now, he only came on very recently as a substitute, Gittins, but in order to shore things up defensively, Liam Rosenior has decided to take him back off again. Gittins, who came on around the hour mark, so that is quite a short little cameo for him to be taken off ahead of the close-up play here. But Liam Rosenior doesn't want any late twist in the tail here, and he's brought on another central defender. So Badiashile and Fofana and Chalobah will be a 3-man central defence as Chelsea look to shut the door. But I'm sure Gittins won't be delighted with that.
No, he certainly won't be pleased. No player ever is, but certainly can understand the manager. They've got to this stage, we're into injury time. He doesn't want to take a João Pedro off or an Enzo Fernandez, a Caicedo off at this stage, so he will be turning to one of the substitutes to change the system. So no surprise, sometimes you have to take that one on the chin and move on, especially if the team win.
Into stoppages, 5 minutes to be added on. Napoli need a miracle now. They need 2 goals without reply, or their Champions League journey comes to an end tonight. Cucurella commits a foul on Vergara. Vergara holds up fingers on both hands, saying, how many times have I been tackled here? He wants further punishment for Cucurella, yellow card to be shown, but the official says no, which is good news for Cucurella. So Napoli with a free kick, midway inside Chelsea territory, no time to waste. Chelsea's defenders holding a line outside their penalty area to defend this. Chelsea going through to the last 16 at the moment, leading 3-2 here. Free kick is rolled short to Antonio Vergara on the right hand side, up against Cucurella, trying to come in field, trying to hold off Cucurella. Great little dig towards the back post. Buongiorno's arriving, couldn't cut it back for a teammate. It's a very good delivery, but Chelsea breathe again as the ball is cleared, and Reece James cleverly plays it off the defender Buchema, and that goes out for a throw into Chelsea, and they will take their time over this.
Yeah, they will. It was a nervous moment. Cheap free kick to be given away from Cucurella. Vergara, who has been good tonight, cut inside, drifted a lovely crossover to just the back of the 6-yard box, and as you say, Buongiorno gets round there completely unmarked and then just miss-hit an easy left foot pass that should have gone across the 6-yard box, scuffed it into the ground, and Chelsea delighted to be able to clear it.
And more movement in the table. Inter, who were up in the top 8 positions, have dropped back down again because of goals going in elsewhere. We'll keep it across everything. Liverpool having a fine night. It's all over at Anfield. They've beaten Qarabağ by 6-0. More reaction from that coming up on 5 Live. Chiesa, one of the goal scorers tonight. He got the 6th just before the end. Newcastle still 1-1 in Paris at the Parc des Princes. So Newcastle heading for the knockout stages. Paris Saint-Germain also going into those knockout stages. And Spurs all over in Germany. Thomas Frank's team have won against Eintracht Frankfurt by 2-0. We're midway through the 5 minutes being added on for stoppages at the Diego Maradona Stadium in Naples, and the impressive Vergara battles his way towards the byline down the right hand side. Cucurella wins it off him and turns and glowers over Vergara there, shouting at the player on the ground. Ball eventually goes out of play for a throw into Napoli. Surely they're out of time. Surely Antonio Conte knows it now. Just over 2 minutes to play. Napoli need 2 goals.
Yeah, they need 2 goals, but they'll still search, and that's what Chelsea need to be wary of. There might not be enough time to get 2 goals, but they'll keep pushing, and they might get one big chance left in the game. Chelsea have to defend it.
So ball in, which Chalaba wins inside the Chelsea penalty area. Garnacho's given it away on the edge of the area. He never fully had it under his control. Di Lorenzo pulls it back. Good save, Robert Sanchez. Lukaku close. That's the first chance for Romelu Lukaku since coming on. He gets the shot on target, but Robert Sanchez makes the reaction save.
Brilliant save. I just mentioned they will get one big chance in the game. Chelsea need to defend it well. Well, the goalkeeper did. Garnacho got caught on the ball in a really poor area and put Chelsea on the back foot. Good play from Napoli, cut back, and who's there? Of course, Lukaku's in the position. And he just sort of scuffed his right foot at it more than anything else, and Sanchez just opened his arms up, made himself as big as he possibly could, and the ball hit him. Brilliant save.
Inter have scored a second goal against Borussia Dortmund, and that helps their goal difference, but they are still outside of the top 8 positions. Inter in 9th place at the moment. Real Madrid, City, Chelsea, Barcelona, Spurs, Liverpool, and the top 2 we knew, Arsenal and Bayern Munich, are the ones in the top 8 at the moment. All the games and stoppages, all 18 kicked off at 8 o'clock tonight. Simultaneous starts on the final evening of the Champions League group phase. Chelsea appear to have done their work. 45 seconds to go. Garnacho runs it down the line, waits for the challenge from Buongiorno, knows that it's going to be a Chelsea throw. Antonio Conte looks a beaten man. He had so few options available to him, so few senior players, and Napoli, the reigning Serie A champions, have run out of road in the Champions League tonight.
Yeah, really good performance in the end from Chelsea. I did think they've had to change tactically, but I think they've all just gotten up to the task. Garnacho now doing his work in the Napoli half, realising what he has to do, running the ball down the touchline, firstly winning his team a throw-in, and now just getting him right in front of the referee, getting his body in the way, making sure there's real contact on him, taking a hit, winning a free kick. Should see another 20 or 30 seconds away.
All over in Paris. It's finished Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle 1. That's a creditable result for Newcastle in any circumstance to go to the back to France and avoid defeat, but not enough to propel them into the top 8 as the full-time whistle blows in Naples 2. And Chelsea have done what they set out to do this evening. They have managed to get their place straight into the round of 16. It is a 6th place finish in the Champions League phase table for Liam Rossignor's team. For Napoli, their journey is over. Antonio Conte, the former Chelsea manager, his team are out of the Champions League. Chelsea get the away win they needed. It is back-to-back defeats for Napoli. They lost to Juventus in Serie A on Sunday. Now they've been beaten at home by Chelsea in the Champions League. Chelsea, who started the evening inside the top 8, and they finished the evening inside the top 8, and Liam Rossignour does become the first English coach to ever win his first 2 Champions League games as managers, and it is now 5 wins from his first 6 games in charge of Chelsea. It's been a very good start for the new head coach.
Yeah, it has, and I didn't think he got it perfectly with regards to tactics in the first half, but I thought his changes in the second half just saw how the game was going, knowing how to shore up themselves defensively, knowing where the opportunities were to break and get down the other end. It does help when you've got a plethora of talent that they do to bring off the substitutes bench. Cole Palmer come off, I think he had 2 assists for João Pedro in the second half, and a striker that is in form, a striker that scored 2 absolutely fantastic goals, João Pedro, to get them over the line. And I think it was no more than they ended up deserving. I thought Napoli were good for the first half, but I thought they just ran out of energy in the second half, and the longer the game went on, I thought Chelsea looked better and better.
Well, thanks to Leon Osborne for watching the game with us this evening. Thanks to our listeners on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra 2. A thrilling game on the final night of the Champions League phase. Chelsea winning in Naples by 3-2. In 45 minutes from now, you can watch the highlights of all of tonight's games and see all the goals. Mark Chapman will be with Julien Loren and Nedum Anua for that. But here on Sports Extra 2, we're going to hand over to join our colleagues on 5 Live. Here is Alistair Bruce Ball to bring you up to date with what happened elsewhere.